Welcome into another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Max Chadwick alongside Dalton Wasserman here with our full breakdown of what was a wild Week 7 of college football. Dalton, we did a 13-game preview for Week 7 because we knew it would be a chaotic week, and it certainly lived up to that yesterday.
There were games on Thursday that were good. There were good Friday games, and then yesterday, just all the way through, was one of those 14, 15-hour days from the noon nonsense to the late-night lunacy. It was just unbelievable. I mean, up till, 2 o'clock in the morning watching BYU-Arizona. I mean, even the early slate was really good. I mean, all the way through, you just had massive games, and feels like so many new things that we learn this week, as we do every week, but there's some major implications, I think, especially at the top of college football right now.
Shout out to the chat right now. We got Vaughn 1K in the chat, Calvin Felder in the chat, a bunch of other people watching right now too. Let us know about your thoughts from all of the games in Week 7 of college football. Was a very, very eventful weekend. Dalton, before we get into it, we got to remind the people, though, that we're going to release all the grades here on this PFF College Football Show for a lot of the games in Week 7. All of those grades and all of the stats we're going to talk about today are available to you guys with the PFF Plus subscription at subscribe.pff.com, and you get it for 25% off right now when you use the promo code PFFCFB25. Again, you get access to all the grades and analytics for college football and the NFL, the same data that Eli's kids now, apparently.
Oh, does he?
Eli's kids. Do you see right there?
Oh, wow. This is news to us. He didn't even tell us.
It's us. It's us.
It's us. Okay,
I was about to congratulate Eli and Elizabeth for a second.
Threw me off there. Wow. Yeah, I was gonna say, he's got something he's not telling us. That's. I don't want him keeping secrets from us. That's awful.
I was like, damn,
man.
Shotgun wedding apparently.
Yeah,
but no,
honestly, we didn't even get invited.
But no, we got a great show for you guys today, and please use that promo code right now to get 25% off our PFF Plus right now. PFF CFB25 is that promo code. Dalton, first game we're getting to, Tim Bob in the chat saying Indiana is officially legit. They absolutely are, because number 7 Indiana beat number 3 Oregon 30-20 yesterday at Oregon. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with the Indiana Hoosiers. Highest grade player was linebacker Isaiah Jones, 87.1. Elijah Hardy, another linebacker, 85.5. Aiden Fisher, another linebacker, 82.2. Elijah Surratt, the star receiver, 82.1. Mikhail Kamara, the star edge rusher, 74.2. And Fernando Mendoza with a 58.5 grade in the win for the Hoosiers. Let's go over to Oregon with their highest grade players in the loss. Cornerback Brandon Finney Jr., who had the pick 6, 84.5. Tatum Tuioti, the edge rusher, 77.5. Jordan Davison, the running back, 75.6. Bryce Betcher, the linebacker, 74.6. Dylan Thiedemann, the safety, 72.3. And Dante Moore, the previous Heisman Trophy favorite, with a 47.2 grade, his lowest of the season so far. Dalton, for you, what told the story in this game?
I think there was a lot of this game for Indiana that was won in the trenches on both sides of the ball, but the most shocking part of it was just how effective they were rushing Dante Moore. Dante Moore was under pressure over 45% of the time in this game, and Oregon came into this game as the best pass-blocking team in the country, bar none. It was just an unbelievable effort, from the four-man rush up front when Indiana was sending basic looks, but also all of the simulated pressures and different rotations that Indiana showed in their defense that does make them so dangerous. It's a signature of their defense. 76.2 team pass rush grade, 38% pass rush win rate. 11 different players on Indiana's defense had a pressure in this game, and they racked up 6 sacks. You could feel it, especially as the game went on, that Dante Moore was feeling rattled back there in the pocket, because Indiana, even though they were almost always sending 4, those simulated pressures and his ability to try to read through those rotations in the coverage behind it, he had a hard time with it, right? And even then, you've got Indiana game planned so well to not allow explosive plays in this game, but the pass rush to me was such a big part of this, whether it was the defensive lineman or any of those awesome linebackers that you mentioned as their 3 highest graded players coming after Dante Moore. I think that was, of all the things that happened in this game, that was the most surprising part to me, is that Indiana created consistent pressure on what was previously the best pass protecting team, easily the best pass protecting team in the country. Still a very good unit, but Indiana's ability to rush with 4 and yet still create pressure with creative looks made a huge difference in this game.
Indiana's ability to make opposing teams' strengths look like weaknesses is unbelievable. My stat is Indiana with an 86.2 defensive grade in this win. So since Oregon scored in the pick 6 in this game, Indiana really only let up 13 points in this game to Oregon, completely dominated on defense. Oregon had negative .301 EPA per play. That's their lowest in a game since the Red Box Bowl against Michigan State in 2018. When the final score of that game, Dalton, Oregon won, but it was 7-6 was the final score of that game. Justin Herbert was the quarterback of that game for Oregon all the way back there in 2018. So the lowest EPA per play for Oregon in a game since that bowl game in 2018. Dante Moore, 45.9 passing grade. He was the Heisman Trophy favorite. Not anymore. Lowest passing grade he's had since his true freshman year at UCLA. Oregon's 58 offensive grade in this game was his worst of the season by 11 points too. Worst pass blocking grade and the worst receiving grade of the year too. Indiana smacked Oregon in the mouth at Oregon in Eugene too. An unreal job by Curt Cignetti and an unreal job too by Bryant Haynes, the defensive coordinator for Indiana, and of course all of these star players on that Indiana defense too. A collective team effort by that defense to completely shut down what has been one of the most explosive offenses in the country.
And I think the stat that sticks out to me more, even on top of that, is Indiana did not give up an explosive play in the second half of this game.
Yep.
In the entire second half, run or pass, they did not give up an explosive play. They took one of the most explosive offenses in the country and just completely stalled them out, confused the quarterback, beat up the offensive line, didn't let them get too much going on the ground, especially as far as big runs goes. This right here, and I know Fernando Mendoza's in the spotlight, and we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about Elijah Surratt. And Omar Cooper's really good. And, and as many points as this Indiana team puts up most weeks, their defense to me, and especially their front 7, last year was the best part of their team, and this year it's the best part of their team again, and even better. Mikael Kamara, Aiden Fisher, Isaiah Jones, Tyree Tucker, all these guys they have up front. Just an unbelievably good front 7 that they have, and then the way that they marry it with the rotations on the back end in the secondary with their zone defenses. This Indiana team is legitimately one of the 5, maybe 6 best teams in the country. I think at this point, they're better than last year. Last year, yes, okay, and we have to remember their 2 losses last year for everybody that doubts them. They were the two teams that played in the national title game. They were not beating Notre Dame and Ohio State regardless, and maybe they won't beat Ohio State this year, but all of a sudden, you look at the road that Indiana has now through the rest of the regular season. You're sitting there looking at it going, they should go 12-0.
Yeah.
There is not a game that they should be underdogs in the rest of the way or anything close. The game at Penn State, as you know, looks a lot easier than it did going into the season right now. I mean, Indiana's
Aller's out for the year now too.
And with Drew Aller, I mean, that trip to Penn State, you still have to go into the environment and win the ball game. But Indiana's defense, I think, is a problem for any team that they face, and it gives them a shot to do special things this year.
So let's move on over from the defense to the offense. Who is your most impressive part of this game for Indiana?
I said this 2 weeks ago against Iowa when he scored the winning touchdown. He was really good. Elijah Surratt right now is playing every bit like the number 1 receiver you could possibly want on your football team. In this game, 8 catches, another 120 yards, and a touchdown, 81.7 receiving grade. He's such a good route runner. He's got such a big physical body that he uses to get open. He makes contested catches. His hands are fantastic. And look, Indiana's played 6 games this year. He's got at least an 80 receiving grade in 4 of them.
Yep.
He's just so consistent, and he's been like that his entire college career. Just unreal when they absolutely need a big play. Elijah Surratt is that guy, and he's not a guy that runs a 4.3 and is going to run 60 yards by you. It's out routes, it's back shoulders, it's curls where he runs off corners. It's physical, contested catches. He's just everything you could want in a number one receiver in an offense like this. And Omar Cooper he made some plays in this game too that were really awesome. But I think Elijah Surratt, one-on-one, he can right now get open against anybody, and that makes a huge difference for this team. We've seen it now 2 games in a row against 2 tough defenses, Iowa and Oregon, that he's been their best offensive player.
Elijah Surratt transferred to Indiana from James Madison because he was following his head coach in Curt Cignetti. That has to be the most impressive part of this game, is Curt Cignetti, the head coach of Indiana. It is unfreaking believable what that guy is doing at that program in only his second year at that program too. Last year, one of the greatest Cinderella runs we've ever seen in college football. Indiana was 11-2, made the college football playoff. The 3 years before Curt Cignetti was hired, before last year, they won a combined 9 games in those 3 years. So they averaged 3 wins per year in those 3 years before he was hired. And they went 11-2 last year and made the playoff. But still, going into this year, the expectation was, okay, they'll be a top 20 or so team after losing so much talent from last year. Still be a good team, but maybe not a playoff team anymore. And they are now. Now you're looking at them right now. They're a top 5 team in the country. And you look at Indiana. I mean, listen, last year you could argue, yeah, they lost to Ohio State and Notre Dame. Their best win, you could argue, was over a 7-5 Michigan team. Now, Cignetti proved, hey, last year we weren't beating the nation's best teams. This year we can beat the nation's best teams, and we are one of the nation's best teams right now. It's the first ever road win over a top 5 team for Indiana in program history. Indiana could be ranked in the top 3 of the AP poll. That has never happened in program history. The highest ranking Indiana has ever had in the AP poll was number 4, which was in 1945 and 1967. So they've never been higher than number 4. They should be higher than number 4 in the AP poll this week. I would argue right now, Curt Cignetti is a top 5 coach in college football. I put this guy in my top 10 going into the year, and many people said I was going way too early for putting him that high. He is absolutely a top 10 coach, and I would argue a top 5 coach in college football right now. This guy is a winner no matter where he goes, from James Madison over to Indiana. And Eli, our producer, Dalton, made a great point back there in the studio before the show. He could be the first coach ever to win AP Coach of the Year in back-to-back years. He won it last year at Indiana, and I would argue deserves it this year too for what he's doing with that program right now. It is unbelievable what he's doing for Indiana. And I'm not saying they should be ranked number 1, because I still think Ohio State and Miami should be the top 2. But there is a case, though, because Indiana did kill Illinois, and Ohio State beat Illinois by 18 points, but Indiana beat them by more. So there's a case. Ohio State should be ranked above them. I'm still saying that. And Miami, I think, should be ranked above them too. But right now, we'll get to my top 25 later on the show. I would have Indiana at least number 3 in the country right now.
Yeah, I think no less than 4, right? I know we were having the conversation yesterday about is it them or is it Texas A&M with their resume as well and what they've done. But no, this program, it's unbelievable. And again, I just look at the road going forward now that they got this win. And even if they didn't get this win, I feel like they would have an advantageous road. But you look at this, Michigan State, favorite. UCLA, I know they're a wagon all of a sudden, but still taking Indiana at home there. At Maryland, spunky, but they're better than Maryland. At Penn State, not what it used to be. Wisconsin, Purdue.
Yeah.
There is very little reason Indiana shouldn't expect to go 12-0 and end up in the Big Ten title game, possibly playing Ohio State or maybe playing Oregon again, depending on how things go. You still have to play the games. But, I mean, this Indiana team, the expectations now are sky high, and you do feel like they have the potential to get further than they did last year.
Oh, absolutely. It's unbelievable that even after last year, when everyone should have, seen Curt Cignetti as an elite coach, even after last year, he's still proving doubters wrong. It's crazy what he's doing at that program. And now Indiana, which has been historically a basketball school, it is firmly a football school right now, which is unbelievable job by Curt Cignetti at that program. All right, great win for Indiana. Great win for Alabama as well. Number 8 Alabama beating number 14 Missouri 27-24. My first exacto score of the year, Dalton. First one I got exactly right in this game. Alabama beating Missouri by 3 points. 27-24 is what I predicted in the preview. We'll get to an exacto for you later on in the show that you had too. But let's get to the highest graded players first in this game, starting off with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Their highest grade player is Colorado transfer linebacker Nakai Hill-Green, 73.8 grade. Dejon Lee Jr., the freshman cornerback, 72.8 grade. Wide receiver Lottie Brooks had a great game, the true freshman as well, 69.2. Xavier Brown, the corner, 69.2 as well. LT Overton, 67.7. And Ty Simpson, one of the Heisman Trophy favorites right now, 66.5 grade in the win for Alabama. Let's go over to Missouri with their highest grade players in the loss. Khalil Jacobs, the linebacker, 77.9. Jalen Catalon, the safety, 76.9. Dalen Carnell, the safety, 76.6. Edge rusher Damon Wilson, 74.2. Marquise Gracial, the D-tackle, 73.7. And Bo Pribula with a 52.7 grade in the loss for Missouri. Dalton, for you, what told the story in this game?
So I think it's about when these two quarterbacks each had their opportunities to make plays, Ty Simpson made more plays. And I think that especially goes when it comes to being succeeding in a clean pocket, right? We've talked all year about if Ty Simpson gets those clean pockets, he's going to hurt you. Now, in this game, he was pressured over 35% of the time. Those edge rushers we talked about for Missouri, Damon Wilson and Zion Young, when he wasn't committing a penalty, both of those guys had pretty darn good days, and they were getting after it off the edge against Ty Simpson. But when he was clean, 80 passing grade, 19 to 24, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 big-time throws. When he's given space back there in the pocket, he's going to kill you. On the other side of this for Missouri, Bo Pribula, when he had those opportunities, when he was clean, just couldn't take advantage of it. 49.3 passing grade, the 2 interceptions, and what you're seeing now from Missouri all of a sudden is, can they drop back and throw the football? It's been a struggle. The first 2 games he came out hot. The Kansas game in week 2, he was spectacular. But last 4 games for Bo Pribula, a 58.8 passing grade. So Ty Simpson, to me, I know it's not his highest graded game, but to go into a road environment where Missouri had won 15 straight games in that stadium against a darn good defense with a pass rush that was getting after it pretty good, Ty Simpson's ability to come through when Alabama needed him to most, especially after Jam Miller got hurt again. He got a concussion, possibly a concussion in this game, and left the game, and Alabama's run game was once again hindered like it was early in the year. Ty Simpson is unflappable. And I think the fact that Alabama's getting in this big games and he's the guy that's carrying him through this, despite Ryan Williams not getting a touch in this game, despite maybe a guy like Jeremy Bernard not having his biggest game, Ty Simpson is finding a way, and he's leading this team through an SEC gauntlet, honestly, and they got another huge game against Tennessee next week, not going to be easy at all. I just think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and you just can't face this guy right now. He does not crumble in the big moment. The 4th down throw that he made to the corner route, just unreal stuff. The post for the touchdown in the end zone. I mean, Ty Simpson right now, he looks like an NFL quarterback, does he not? It's really that simple to me. As long as you protect this guy, he can lead you to win. So for me, that's the biggest difference. And when Jam Miller was in the game, Alabama did run the ball well. You're going to get into some things with that. But I just think with Ty Simpson as the leader of this offense and of this team, they really do have a much better chance than last year. The offense is just so much more consistent. I know there was high variance, and Jalen Milroe was great, but it was always such an up and down nature to it. They have a steady leader in Simpson right now, and I think that matters so much in these big games. Vandy punched him in the mouth. They came back, and he let him through. Missouri punched him in the mouth early, and the kind of style of ball that they want to play. Ty Simpson let him through. He's the leader of this football team. He's one of the best passers in the country.
Yeah, my stat is Alabama held the ball for over 38 minutes in this game, which is about 65% of this game. Missouri opened up with a 7-0 lead, and Alabama responded by scoring the next 17 points in this one and really put it away. They really made Missouri get out of their wheelhouse and rely on Bo Pribula as a passer. That's not what Missouri wants to do in ball games. They still averaged 6.8 yards per carry on the ground, too. So Missouri's run game was pretty solid, I would say, in this game. But because they got down so early in this one, they could not rely on that run game. They were playing from behind a lot in this one, too. So great job by the Crimson Tide defensively and offensively for getting Missouri behind the 8 ball, and great job by Alabama's offense and Ty Simpson and the run game for these long, sustaining drives to just make Missouri feel like they're always behind and have to be desperate on every single offensive drive. Like I said, they relied on Bo Pribula way too much in this game. That is not the kind of game Missouri wanted to have going into it. So, yeah, great job by Alabama offensively, defensively, and coaching too for just holding on to this football and never letting Missouri get the ball and having these long drives like they did.
Same way they beat Vandy last week. You look at Alabama's sample of run defense in this game, and it's a very small sample, but not great. The run defense is still a concern if a team can get in a rhythm, but against these two ball control teams in Vandy and Missouri, Alabama has controlled the football and majorly won time of possession. It was huge. I mean, it was huge. I think Alabama against better running teams in future weeks, it's still going to be something that we talk about of, hey, their run defense is not spectacular. They're getting by with it, but they're also getting by with it because when you hold the ball for 38 and a half minutes, well, that helps you out a lot. So, I mean, even in that small sample of not – and look, they're still going to play good running teams. Tennessee, South Carolina, maybe Oklahoma if they can figure it out by then, Auburn. I mean, it's going to be a theme moving forward that, yes, they still need to play better in run defense, but they're not being put in so many situations. And the fact that, especially in this game, that they got, you mentioned it, after the first drive from Missouri going down 7-0, the fact that they scored the next 17 and played ahead for the rest of the game, that made a huge difference because Missouri, it's starting to become clearer now that they're going to have a hard time playing from behind.
Yep.
Because Purbulla is just not going to drop back in a traditional sense and sling the football all over the place, right? I mean, that's when it didn't work yesterday. The play action, the bootleg game, read options, everything like that, that's going to work for Missouri, but they have to find a drop-back passing game, at least a functional one.
Do you want to talk more about Ty Simpson, or you covered that already?
I just think the way that he leads them through adversity, I think is much different than last year, because we saw last year in multiple spots that this team, they couldn't get through those moments. They couldn't get through a bad first drive putting them down 7-0, right? Or they wouldn't have had even the Justin Jefferson forced fumble last week against Diego Pavia. I just think this team is kind of taking on the personality of Ty Simpson a little bit right now, and that steadiness to work through those big moments and just keep punching. And you just see 5 or 6 big throws a game right now from Ty Simpson where you go, A, that's an NFL quarterback, and B, those are the biggest plays of the game. So he's their leader right now, and if they're going to continue this run and they're going to make the playoff or possibly even win the SEC, Ty Simpson's the biggest reason.
I'm going to shout out the Alabama coverage unit in this game, not just the secondary, because I thought Nikhai Hill-Green did a great job in coverage at linebacker too. 77.2 coverage grade for Alabama in this one. Only 5.8 yards per pass for Missouri in this game too. Negative .343 EPA per pass in this one for the Tigers. They picked off Bo Purbulla twice in this game, including the game-sealing interception at the very end. Held them to a 51.1 passing grade. Just the second and third levels of their defense did a great job against Missouri and holding up in coverage in a game where Missouri had to throw a lot more than they wanted to, too. So credit to Kane Womack's defense, man, for stepping up in coverage in that secondary and in that linebacker unit, too. Again, Missouri did not want to throw the ball as much as they did in this game, but Alabama's secondary did a great job of holding up in coverage, too, and Missouri just struggled offensively because of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think when you look at this Alabama secondary, when they're on, they can be fantastic, right? And I think a lot of times it's about eye discipline and just not falling for play-action fakes, or you even saw early in the game on the first touchdown, Bo Purbulla rolling on the RPO. When this team is playing disciplined football on defense, they can be really, really good. And it does start with that back seven, that coverage unit. It's going to have to, because they don't have a great pass rush. They just don't at this point. LT Overton is somebody who can get pressure inside or outside, but other than that, it's been a problem, their pass rush, getting that going. The coverage unit's really going to be the base of their defense right now. As long as they continue to have games like this and prevent too many explosive plays, they're going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Alabama with their third straight win over a top 20 opponent after beating Georgia a couple weeks ago, after beating Vanderbilt last week, they now beat Missouri this week too. The Crimson Tide are rolling right now. Let's get to the next game, the Red River Shootout. Texas beating number 6 Oklahoma 23-6, the final score there in the Cotton Bowl. The highest grade player starting off with the Texas Longhorns. Safety Michael Taft, 83.5. D tackle Murad Watson, 77.9. Safety Jelani McDonald, 72.7. Cornerback Malik Muhammad, 72.7 as well. DeAndre Moore Jr., the wide receiver, 71.7. And Arch Manning with a really good 86.5 grade in the win for Texas. Let's go over to Oklahoma with their highest grade players in the loss. Linebacker Kendall Daniels, 83.3. Grayson Halton, the D tackle, 77.9. Taylor Wine, the edge rusher, 77.2. Reggie Powers, the third. The safety, 73. Kobe McKenzie, the linebacker, 72.9. and John Mateer with a 37.4 grade at quarterback for Oklahoma in this game too. Dalton, what told the story for you in this one?
For me, it actually starts, and I know you're going to get to the quarterbacks, and everybody's spotlight is on the two quarterbacks in this game, obviously, especially Mateer coming back 17 days after surgery and struggling big time in this game. But to me, it starts with, and we've talked about this all year, and now it's finally come up in a big spot and hurt them. Texas run defense, Oklahoma's inability to run the football, right? In this game, 25 carries for 105 yards, 15 of those yards scrambles from John Mateer. This is a problem for Oklahoma, and Texas knew it, and they dominated him. They were going to make Mateer beat him with his arm, and I don't blame them one bit, especially with the surgery and the questions about him throwing the ball, and even just the rust from missing out on a couple weeks of practice. But 91.5 run defense grade from Texas. That is their highest since winning the Big 12 title game in 2023. Remember, that was the game they just completely shut down Ollie Gordon and Oklahoma State. Highest since that game. 13 run stops, 1 missed tackle in run defense for Texas. Actually, they only missed 4 tackles, run defense or coverage for the entire game. Did not allow a run longer than 11 yards. Oklahoma's passing game, I know it's been solid enough, right, in some of these wins over Michigan, over Auburn, right? Deion Burks is solid. Isaac Satenya, he had a big game against Auburn, obviously aided by a lack of officiating on one play too, but they need to be able to run the football. That was what we expected the base of this offense was going to be, whether it's Torrey Blaylock or we don't see Jaden Ott at all. He just doesn't play, I guess. John Mateer and his legs. Oklahoma is not going to win many games with the rest of their schedule. I believe it's the hardest schedule in the country. Is that what they're – I know there's some metrics that say their remaining schedule is the hardest in the country, but running for barely over 100 yards, they're not going to move the football. And their passing game, look, Mateer is obviously good. He's got a live arm. He can make throws. But they need to be able to manufacture offense. And I think the big problem with that now is that I believe the Temple game is the only game where they've scored more than 25 points. So, I mean, you just can't have an offense that's so stagnant in both dimensions, because now you're asking Mateer to go out there and carry you. Like they were asking Jackson Arnold last year to go out there and carry. They scored 35 on Illinois State as well. But you look at 3 games against Power 4 teams. They've scored 24, 24, and now 6. They can't run the football. And again, they've had flashes from Torrey Blaylock, but there's just not enough there. They need to be able to run the ball for probably over 200 yards a game if they're going to get, because their passing game, their receiving core is just not that deep. It's been Deion Burks, Jaron Kanak, a little bit of Satenya, but it's not dynamic enough to beat a team like this. And there's more good defenses coming. I mean, look at this. South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, LSU. Man, oh man, you better find a way to run the football and get physical on this offensive line as well, or you're going to have a serious problem. It's going to be more days like this.
So going into the week, because I don't think our metrics have updated yet, but on our PFF Power Rankings, again, available at pff.com, Wisconsin right now has the hardest schedule remaining in the country. Oklahoma's second. So it's very close. But Wisconsin does have –
I remember we pointed out Wisconsin in the preseason. It was brutal. Like they have like all –
It's Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota.
I remember looking at Wisconsin's preseason. It was like the 9 best teams in the Big Ten plus Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the hardest schedule in the country, right? But Oklahoma, I mean, they've got a murderer's –
They're second, though. No, they're second.
They've got an absolute murderer's row coming up. They've got to find a way to run the football. I just think this team was designed to be a dual-threat team with Mateer and his legs, the option game, the depth of backs that they have that we just haven't seen enough of. And the fact that Texas was able to go in there and look 105 yards in a college football game on the ground, that's pretty much shutting it down. That's pretty darn good. So, I mean, credit to Texas run defense. Watson was dominant up front. Michael Taft was flying all over the place. Anthony Hill, I thought, very quietly made a huge difference in this game, especially when it came to spying Mateer and Mateer not being able to outrun him to the corner. So, look, this Texas defense is everything we thought it was going to be, or at least in this game was everything we thought it was going to be. I think now you start to look at Texas and go, okay, sigh of relief, first Power 4 win, first SEC win. If they can continue to play defense like that, especially up front, Now we start to talk about Texas as, maybe getting back on track here towards where they want to be.
Yeah, Oklahoma's schedule, for those who don't know, they got at South Carolina, host Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Alabama, host Missouri, host LSU to end the year. So that's a pretty brutal schedule coming up for Oklahoma. My stat is obviously the quarterback difference in this game. Arch Manning played clean football. John Mateer did not play clean football in this game. Arch Manning, 83.7 passing grade, 87.5% adjusted completion rate too. He didn't blow anyone away with the box score numbers, but he was very, very efficient yesterday for the Longhorns. John Mateer, meanwhile, 31.1 passing grade, 0 big-time throws, 4 turnover-worthy plays with 3 interceptions yesterday, and only a 63.9% adjusted completion rate. Arch Manning also had more rushing yards than John Mateer. Barely. I think it was like 39 to 37, but still had more rushing yards than John Mateer yesterday. I'll just flat out say it. John Mateer probably should not have been playing that game yesterday. He did not look healthy. His hand, I think, was bleeding at one point in that game, too. It is a credit to his toughness that less than 3 weeks after surgery, when everyone said it should be 3 weeks or longer for him to be out, that he came back and played in this massive rivalry game, but he did not look healthy enough to play in that game yesterday. And also credit to Arch Manning for knowing what kind of game it was and trusting his defense to win this game. Arch Manning did not have to win this game for Texas. His defense did for him. So a great job by him of simply doing his job, not trying to go above and beyond his job requirement, making mistakes. Just a great job by Arch Manning of playing efficient football in a massive rivalry game. Dalton, this could have been a game for Arch Manning after all the criticism he's had all year to be like, hey, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to prove everyone wrong. He didn't do that. He was even-keeled. He played a very efficient football game, and he knew his defense would win the day for him, and they did just that. So credit to Arch Manning for doing his job. And John Mateer really, really struggled in this game.
Manning avoided big mistakes, and I thought when he had to move outside the pocket, which was a decent amount too, he was under pressure about half the time in this game. I thought he was outstanding outside the pocket. So, look, the surface numbers, 166 passing yards and no touchdowns, are going to tell you, okay, Manning was a traffic cone in this game. I really don't think that was the case. I really think there was points in this game where Manning could have crumbled under pressure, and he didn't. I thought he was really darn good. He was a lot better than the box score. And one more guy I want to point out, the biggest play in this game that really put it away really was the big punt return from Ryan Niblett. Now, I know also, the officiating was kind of a big theme all day yesterday, and I don't know, they missed an illegal block in the back there. But special teams in a game like this matters too. So I think Texas in this game playing complementary football is so big because they needed this. They got a 100-yard day out of Trey Wisner. They got a special teams touchdown. Arch was solid throughout the day, 87.5% adjusted completion rate. I think this is how Texas needs to play right now. They don't need to ask Arch to save them or anything like that. Play defense, run the ball, have some balance. He's going to make some plays outside the pocket. You still got a darn talented football team. You just got to figure out who you are. And they definitely played better up front in this game, especially against such a good Oklahoma defensive line. This is the type of game that Steve Sarkisian needs to tell his team, hey, this is how it's going to be. It's going to be a little bit ugly. It's going to be not as flashy as last year, but we can still win a lot of football games playing like that.
Yeah, I'll shout out Pete Kwiatkowski, too, the Texas defensive coordinator in this one. Just a completely all-around dominant performance by his defense in this one. 85.4 defensive grade for Texas against Oklahoma. 91.5 run defense grade. 82.6 coverage grade, only allowed 3.7 yards per play and forced 3 turnovers too. Only 98 yards on the ground, which forced a compromised John Mateer to try to win as a passer. That's not the way Oklahoma was going to win this game, with John Mateer on a broken hand too. So great job by Pete Kwiatkowski, man. They've done a great job defensively really all year. In 5 out of 6 games so far this year for Texas, they've allowed 14 points or fewer. Texas' problems have not come on the defensive side of the ball. Pete Kwiatkowski still has that performing as an elite unit right now, and I think right now, I can check right now, I believe it's the 4th highest graded defense in all of college football right now. So Texas defense, which we thought would be an elite unit going into the year, yeah, they are 4th right now behind Texas Tech, Indiana, Miami, and then Texas.
Some good units right there,
That's pretty
man.
good.
Jeez.
So, listen, I know Texas so far has been pretty disappointing for most people. That has a lot to do with the offensive side of the ball. This Texas defense is still an elite unit. So shout out Pete Kwiatkowski, who had an elite unit surprisingly last year. unsurprisingly, this is an elite unit this year.
The only time this season that I thought Texas defense didn't play well was the first half against Florida.
Yeah.
Other than that, they've been outstanding this year. And boy, it helps to have the third highest graded safety in the country in Michael Taft. This guy's the leader of this unit. He's the heart and soul, really, of this Texas team. And you look at just the all-around game he had yesterday. 8 total tackles, 3 stops, had a sack as a blitzer, allowed 1 catch in coverage for no yards, 78.9 coverage grade. Pete Kwiatkowski, and we talk about this with Matt Patricia in Ohio State and Caleb Downs. We'll get into that again. But what he's able to do because of all the things that Michael Taft is able to do at safety. I know this guy's undersized. This is an NFL safety. He knows what he's doing out there. He's a super aggressive tackler. He knows where to be in coverage at all times. He is just an excellent all-around football player. 75.9 run defense grade as well in this game. And I talked about how that's so big, stopping the run against Oklahoma. If you can do that, you give yourself a chance, obviously, to shut him down. I thought Michael Taft was just flying all over the place in this game. He was outstanding.
Yep, absolutely. A former walk-on, too, Michael Taft. Just a really cool story to see how amazing he's been for Texas last year and this year, too. Yeah, he's absolutely going to be an NFL safety. So great win for Texas, beating Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry 23-6 and getting their season back on track. Next up, another SEC game here. Number 10, Georgia, beating Auburn last night 20-10. Let's go over the highest grade players, starting off with the Georgia Bulldogs. Highest grade player for Georgia was the linebacker C.J. Allen. I'll talk about him later. 88.2 grade for him. Ellis Robinson, the fourth, the cornerback, 75.3. Drew Bobo, the center, 70.1. Quintavious Johnson, the edge rusher, 69.9. Kristen Miller, the D tackle, 69.5. And Gunnar Stockton with a very solid 76.6 grade in the win for Georgia. Let's go over the highest grade players for Auburn. Bryce Dees, the edge rusher, 76.1. Robert Woodyard Jr., the linebacker, 74.2. Another linebacker here in Elijah Melendez, 74.1. D tackle Bobby Jamison Travis, 73.8. Offensive tackle Mason Murphy, 70.3. And Jackson Arnold with a 45.8 grade in the loss for the Auburn Tigers. Dalton, for you, what told the story in this game?
I think I'm going to take 2 angles on this on the passing side because Georgia absolutely had their best day in coverage this season so far. You're talking about a 78.1 coverage grade, 5 forced incompletions, 8 stops, only 1 missed tackle in coverage, only 1 explosive pass allowed, and that was on a busted coverage on a zero blitz underneath where one of the linebackers should have picked up the tight end, and he just got a bunch of yards after catch. They did not allow a completion of 10 or more air yards. And you think about this Auburn receiving core and how dangerous it can be with Cam Coleman, with Malcolm Simmons, with Eric Singleton, and how explosive they can be. The fact that Georgia's secondary was a constant for them in this game and kept them in this game was a big factor. So I want to credit, KJ Bolden and Dalen Everett and those guys in the secondary. They were outstanding in this game. CJ Allen as well, like you mentioned at linebacker. On the other side of this, I do want to talk, the officiating and all that we can talk about later. The penalties were obviously a huge story in this game too. But where we are at now with Auburn is, I think, where it was feared where this could go wrong. Okay, Auburn's got a boatload of talent, right? The defense, I think especially the front seven, is really good. You've got the receivers. You've got 2 good backs. You've got Jackson Arnold was always going to be the X factor in this season, whether Auburn had a big-time successful season and a playoff run or whether it ended up like this. And that's really just what it is. He's now got a 55.6 passing grade this season. 2 big-time throws, 7 turnover-worthy plays, and he's been sacked 22 times in 6 games. And a lot of those are on him. Yeah. This is just, you hate to say it for Auburn, but it's been shown now in 3 games against teams with very, very good defenses, right? Big-time SEC defenses, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia. It is the quarterback. They just don't have the quarterback. Now, again, I know this game probably should have been, we can debate this, but maybe there's been lines drawn and things like that. Maybe should have been 17-0. And if this game is 17-0 with the way Auburn was running the football, then the passing's not even a factor at that point because I don't know that Georgia's coming back from 17. That momentum swing, losing composure with some of the penalties, and then just the fact that even throughout the second half of this game, 10-3, and then even 10-10, and then Georgia's up 13-10. Auburn just struggles to throw the football. And it's kind of become same old story. And against secondaries like this, you need your quarterback to be able to make big throws. And I think that's really the problem now with Auburn's season, is that they still can't drop back and throw the football.
And they have a ton of talent at receiving core, and they improved because last year at Auburn, at Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold was like, okay, the receiving core was terrible, offensive line was terrible. Arnold was a 5-star recruit. Maybe it was a supporting cast, because we see supporting casts all the time kill quarterbacks. Now at Auburn, the supporting cast is much, much better, and he's still not performing well. So, yeah, I think you could absolutely blame Jackson Arnold.
And I was a believer that, okay, the Baylor game, week 1, that Hugh Freeze called a great game and the run game was working, stay on it, right? And Auburn and Arnold only threw the ball 17 times in that game. And I said, well, he didn't have to in that one, right? Okay, yeah, like I get Hugh Freeze sticking with it. And then the next couple of games, Ball State, South Alabama, kind of casual. And then they go back to, okay, let's force Arnold to throw it for 2 games. I liked the run rate and everything in this game, the way that Auburn came out running the ball, but they didn't take advantage of opportunities. Another questionable call that might have killed them. And then the penalties right after. I just think this Auburn offense is just not. It just hasn't been in sync for 3 weeks, and it shows in the points. I mean, 17, 10, and 10. And their defense, they've given up 24 or less in every game this season. Their defense is good enough. The receivers are good enough. The O-line, run game, all that stuff's good enough. They just can't throw the football. And that's really what's sinking Auburn right now. And again, Georgia's secondary, much like A&M's last week, much like Oklahoma's the week before, especially Oklahoma's pass rush too, outstanding stuff on the back end from Georgia's defense here, just keeping them in this game and never letting it get away from them. Absolutely.
Yep. My stat is Auburn had 40 total yards in the second half of this game. The first half, Auburn's offense showed a lot of life, right? They had 10 points and 236 yards. Could have been 17 points. With Jackson Arnold, of course, had that fumble on the goal line that was really close to looking like it was a touchdown for him. And after that fumble, Auburn's offense completely stalled out in this one. 1.7 yards per play in the second half, negative .822 EPA per play in the second half. Only 3 total first downs for Auburn in the second half. A 45.3 offensive grade. Jackson Arnold had a 29.3 passing grade in the second half. And I want to give credit to Kirby Smart and their defense too, because I feel like we're talking about Auburn a lot right now in this offense. Kirby Smart's defense went into halftime, and they obviously made a lot of adjustments at halftime. They went into halftime with momentum, and they came out and completely shut down this Auburn offense on the road in Jordan-Hare Stadium. A great job by Kirby Smart and that defense to just completely shut them down the entire time in the second half and allow Georgia's offense to take their time and make this comeback gradually in this game. And ultimately, Georgia pulled out a victory, and 0 points for Auburn in the second half, only 40 total yards. That's a masterclass by Kirby Smart's defense in the second half.
I guarantee you he told his whole team, but especially his defense, listen, we got our asses kicked in this first half. We had the ball for 8 minutes. That team physically dominated us in every way that they wanted to, but it's only 10-3. And if it's only 10-3 and that was their best punch, then we're going to come out and shut this team down. I really think that's where Kirby was at, was listen, you guys played horribly, and we can win this game. This game should be 17-0. I guarantee he told his team that, and he just goes, you know what?
Did you see the video after the game of him on the field?
What did
he was like talking to some people, and someone's like a video of him, and he was like, man, we stole that one, he said.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely, because he knows the first half of that game, they got whacked physically. Yeah. Absolutely. Up front, they were getting dominated. And if that did get to 17-0, I don't think they were coming back the way that Georgia's offense is playing. And they do have some offensive issues. They really do. But the fact, and again, I think it speaks to Kirby Smart and this program that on the road, through all those circumstances and everything going on, that they do just find ways to win ball games, right? And eventually, against even more elite teams, they're going to have to play better, right? They're going to have to play better. I mean, you think about the game against Alabama. They tried to grit and guile their way through that one. They couldn't do it that night. But They're going to have to play better, but the fact that in these games, in these moments, when it could get away from them, that they can stay in the pocket with all the championship pedigree that they do have and Kirby Smart and everything, that's why you have Kirby Smart as your coach right there, is to stay in these types of games and get away from it and steal one on the road that maybe he feels like the way they played, maybe he feels like they shouldn't have won it, but darn it, they found a way, and that's what matters.
Yep, absolutely. So we talk a lot about the Georgia defense for allowing the comeback to happen for Georgia, but also, Dalton, they needed a quarterback to lead that comeback for them, and you want to shout out Gunnar Stockton right here.
I do. I think very much in a similar way to Arch Manning at Texas. I think Gunnar Stockton in this game just, he toughed it out, man. I think there's certain moments in this game when you think about all the circumstances going on around the fumble on the quarterback sneak. At the end of the day, Georgia got the ball on the 1 yard line with under 2 minutes left, right? Down 10-0, he leads them down for a field goal. You feel good about something. You're grinding your way through a second half. Your team's barely running the ball for over 3 yards a carry. Gunnar Stockton's making enough throws. And I'll tell you what, the drive I think I was most impressed with all night. In the fourth quarter, what was it, 7 or 8 minutes they took off the clock in the fourth quarter that finished with his rushing touchdown. You could just feel Georgia just going, we just keep pushing, just an inch, a yard at a time, just keep going. And Gunnar Stockton making throws on third down. The rushing touchdown, obviously, is the signature moment in this game, sealing it, aside from all the penalties and nonsense at the end of the first half. But it just felt to me like, I'll tell you what, Gunnar Stockton, is he the best quarterback in the country? No. Does he have his flaws? Absolutely. There's one thing I won't question, and it's just the sheer grit. And in the same way I just talked about the whole team, Gunnar Stockton has embraced that part of just, you know what? We're going to find a way to do it. The Tennessee game was the same way. That was one where you had to air it out a little more. We're just going to find a way to do it. I'm going to do everything the head ball coach tells me to do, and if that doesn't work, then we'll move on to next week. But I thought Stockton did a great job of just staying composed in a tough environment in a game with a boatload of adversity. And again, just finding a way to win. That's really what makes this Georgia team so dangerous, is their defense keeps them in games. And most times in situational football, didn't happen against Alabama, but most times in those situationals, Georgia's going to be the team that comes out on top. And again, we've seen it twice now between the Tennessee game and this one.
Yep, absolutely. I got to love, too, Gunnar Stockton with the Superman touchdown dive he had on the night when Cam Newton got his jersey retired by Auburn, too. Yeah. So that was pretty awesome by Gunnar Stockton.
I mean, it was the definition of just a gritty win from Georgia. And it's there. Look, you look at this team, and they look a bit flawed. They play a bit flawed. It's not great. There's certain moments the pass rush isn't great. The offense isn't necessarily moving. They didn't run the ball very well in this game against a very good run defense. But once again, they win, and that's really what the Georgia Bulldogs do. They just win.
Yep. My most impressive is C.J. Allen in this one, the linebacker for Georgia. He showed in this game why he is one of the best linebackers in the country and also one of the best linebackers in the 2026 NFL draft. He had about an 88 PFF guy, I believe, in this game. 2 forced completions, 2 coverage stops, 86.6 coverage rate, 80.2 run defense grade with 3 run defense stops, 2 tackles for loss or no gain, and, of course, the forced fumble on the goal line against Jackson Arnold in the biggest play of the game. Also had a sack on Jackson Arnold in this one, too. An incredible all-around day in coverage, run defense, and in pass rushing for one of the best all-around linebackers that we have in college football. He flies around the football. C.J. Allen could be a top 40 pick in the NFL draft, if not a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL draft.
I mean, the sky is blue, and Georgia's got a great middle linebacker. You're saying nothing that's news to me at all, whether it's Roquan Smith or Nakobe Dean or Jalen Walker and now C.J. Allen. I mean, no, just outstanding in this game. And again, he was the one constant. I thought especially in coverage, he was really good, and I thought that was the biggest question. And also, I'm sure his stat line would have looked even better. He had a dropped interception as well and a ball Arnold threw behind a crosser. So Allen was great. I mean, it's a tradition here at Georgia where they've just always got a great middle linebacker, and he's next in line.
Yep, absolutely. C.J. Allen with the 88.2 PFF grade in the win for Georgia, a 20-10 win for Georgia over their arch rival in Auburn. All right, next up, number 1 Ohio State beating number 17 Illinois 34-16. This is Dalton's exacto. You got the exact score right in this one, so credit to you for doing it. Your first exacto of the year. So you and I both have one of the year now. Ohio State beating Illinois 34-16. Let's go over the highest graded player, starting off with the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. Julian Sayin, This kid is unbelievable. 92 grade in the win for Ohio State. Outside of him, though, the highest graded players, Caden McDonald, 86.7. Caden Curry, 79.2. Davison Igbinosun, 75.8. Will Smith Jr., 71.4. And Sonny Styles, 71.2 for the Buckeyes. For Illinois, meanwhile, their highest grade players, Cole Rusk, the tight end, 82. Miles Scott, the safety, 78.2. Dylan Rojek, the linebacker, 77.1. J.C. Davis, the offensive tackle, 73.3. Safety Matthew Bailey, 72.9. And quarterback Luke Altmaier with a 77 grade in the loss for Illinois. Dalton, for you, what told the story?
Trenches. I'm going to start on Ohio State's defense. Their run defense, this defensive line especially, was outstanding. 83.3 run defense grade as a team. Their fourth game out of 6 this season with at least an 83 run defense grade as a team. Last year, they were arguably the best run defense in college football. They replaced a ton of those pieces, especially on the defensive line, and they are just outstanding. Again, Caden McDonald in the middle was really good, had the forced fumble also that really turned this, I don't want to say turn this game in Ohio State's favor, but really kind of put this thing away when it got to 20-0 there eventually. 87 yards allowed on 22 carries. 39 of those yards came on 2 explosive runs. So think about the other 2 carries there the other 20 carries there accounting for 48 yards. You just can't run the ball once again between the tackles, especially on this Ohio State team, I think there. And then the other one I want to point out, and I think it's something we haven't talked about a lot, is Ohio State's offensive line has been outstanding. They lost several starters from that unit last year. Julian Sand was only pressured 18% of the time in this game. He was only pressured 5 times in this game. And Illinois, look, they're a heavy blitzing team, and they chose to revert to coverage, and they only blitzed Sand 8 times in this game. And, well, that didn't work either, because when he wasn't blitzed, he had a 91.3 passing grade. So right now, with the way they're dominating in the trenches, I thought that's really where they dominated Washington as well in their last game. I just think this Ohio State team they have everything. They've got the quarterback. They've got the trench play right now on 2 units that we're losing a ton of veterans, and they're playing great. They're running the ball when they need to. Obviously, you've got the receivers in the secondary we've talked about so much this year, but this is now, if they're going to play in the trenches like this, and it's, I think, better than even we expected them to, I mean, yeah, they're the best team in the country. I mean, we talk about Miami being great in the trenches. Texas Tech's great in the trenches. Indiana was great in the trenches this week. These are the teams that are leading college football right now, as teams that are great on the O-line and D-line. But honestly, maybe Miami, you could argue, but this maybe it's equal. I don't think there's anybody doing it better or significantly better than Ohio State.
Yeah,
right
Miami's
now.
The only one I put above them right now, but it is really good.
And look at all the NFL players you're talking about, that's the only team we're really arguing with. Texas Tech also has been outstanding up front on both sides. But this Ohio State team, I think it's more so the way that they're dominating despite losing. They lost their whole starting defensive line, the whole front 4. And how many starters? 3 or 4 on the offensive line?
Yeah.
I mean, and it just keeps rolling. It just keeps rolling. I don't want to – I mean, I got the score, so I guess this game went exactly how I thought it would. But I just think the general dominance in every area right now of this team, O-line, D-line, skill players, quarterback, everything, I mean, there's really no argument against them being the best team in the country right now.
No, there's really not. And I'll have number 1 in my top 25 later on in the show. But Ohio State, for me, scoring 21 points off 3 turnovers was huge in this one. Because all told, I thought Illinois' defense really put up a valiant effort in this game. But Illinois' offense, it just really put them in bad situations the entire night, because Ohio State's defense right now is one of, if not the best defense in college football. And they gave their offense, the Ohio State offense, short fields, which they capitalized on in this game. So on the first drive of the game, they picked off Luke Altmaier, which gave the Buckeyes the ball on the 35-yard line. C.J. Donaldson eventually ran it in on a touchdown run. Illinois, again, fumbled on their own 26-yard line. Julian Sand then threw a 17-yard touchdown pass to Bo Jackson. And then Ohio State got a strip sack on Luke Altmaier to get the ball on the 24-yard line, which Julian Sand threw a touchdown pass to Jeremiah Smith. So 3 times the Ohio State defense gave the offense the ball on the 35-yard line or better in this one, and all 3 times they scored a touchdown too. So great job by the Ohio State defense for forcing mistakes, forcing turnovers from Illinois, and then obviously a great job of the Ohio State offense of capitalizing on those Illinois mistakes too, because outside of that, I mean, Illinois only gave up, 13 points in this game outside of the 3 times the offense turned it over. So great job by the Ohio State defense for forcing those turnovers, and by the Buckeyes offense for capitalizing on those turnovers.
The only 2 cracks in the armor I have for Ohio State in this game. Number one, and I think it's been a mini theme, especially when you look at the Washington game and this game, and even the Texas game a little bit, is finishing drives. I think Sayin could be just a tad better in the red zone, and it seems just a little bit of a grind once they get down inside the 20 right now. And the one little stretch where Illinois was finding offense, they were going no huddle, so Matt Patricia couldn't get into all the complex disguises and everything that he usually gets into. So I do wonder, and I don't know when it would be on Ohio State's regular season schedule at this point. You look at the rest of it: Wisconsin, Penn State, Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and then, of course, finish the season at the Big House. So, the next 5 at least, I would not expect Ohio State to lose, and then they just have to, get over get the monkey off their back there with Michigan. But I don't know who in that stretch would get up and go up-tempo and go no-huddle effectively enough to affect that, but I do think that is something that maybe later in the season, Big Ten title game, playoff games, that a team might try to just go, hey, okay, we saw at least a tiny bit of Illinois having success in a no-huddle and making this team play in base looks and having some success. We'll have to play perfect, obviously, because I think you got to play perfect football to beat this team right now, but those are the only 2 things I have, is that the no-huddle defense maybe could use some work. I think Matt Patricia's going to look at that on the defensive side, and then they just got to keep cleaning things up in the red zone, and that happens when you have a young quarterback and a team figuring out who to run the football with. You've got Bo Jackson, you've got C.J. Donaldson, but other than that, I mean, if that's the way we're nitpicking this team right now, that's just how darn good they are. I don't see them having a chance, really, of losing their next 5 games, and then they just got to go to Michigan and get over the Michigan thing.
Yep.
But I mean, all told, we should at this point, for at least, we're only halfway through. We're only halfway there. But we should at this point be expecting the Big Ten title game to be Ohio State and Indiana. And if it's anybody other than those 2 for any reason, considering the schedules, that would be an upset.
Yeah, the fact that Ohio State does not play Oregon, too, is huge. So, yeah, there's a really good chance that it's going to be Ohio State, Indiana. Who do you want to shout out real quickly for your most impressive?
I mean, of all the guys, it could be anybody. But I'll tell you what, I know it's a little bit handsy sometimes. We get some borderline ones. But Davison Igbinosun outside at corner, and this is a guy that gets picked on a lot, in part because, some teams are trying to draw the PIs out of him and things like that. And he did draw 1 in this game. He did get 1, and there was a couple other borderline calls. But 75.6 coverage rate, his best of the season. 3 forced incompletions, another one unofficially, but that was the play he was called for the pass interference. 7 targets, 1 catch allowed, and the only catch was on a screen for 6 yards. So, look, I mean, when you've got Igbinosun playing great on the outside, Devin Sanchez got to start on the outside in this game. Jermaine Matthews had to move into the slot with an injury to Lorenzo Styles. I mean, just another star in the secondary. This is just what Ohio State does, is they shut you down on the back end. And even though I predicted the score, did it still feel like Illinois scoring 16 points was a miracle?
Yeah.
Right now on the team, I mean, now they're all the way up to giving up just less than 7 points a game, Ohio State is. So, I mean, they've got it all. They've got it all. Secondary, O-line, D-line, quarterback, receivers, whatever, you name it.
Linebackers.
They got linebackers.
Yeah,
man,
they got linebackers.
Boy, do they have that.
I would say the best linebacker unit pretty easily in the country right now. Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, I would put above anyone else.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else has 2 like that. I'm trying to think, but off the top of my head, nobody else has 2 like that. It's just silly with those, and the freak level athleticism from both.
It's crazy.
And Reese yesterday, I think an 80 or 82 pass rush grade. The way he can get off either the edge or blitzing and just get after the quarterback too, just another weapon. It's unbelievable the tools that Matt Patricia has to work with.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out Julian Sayin right now, and I'll say it right now, Dalton. I think as of right now, he's the best quarterback in college football that we've got. 91.6 passing grade in the win over Illinois, 19 for 27 for 166 yards. Again, not a lot of passing yards, but again, he had a lot of short fields in this game. So that's why his stats aren't as big as you maybe would expect for this game. 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, 1 big-time throw, 0 turnover-worthy plays. Again, didn't have the opportunity to put up bigger numbers with the short fields in this one. He has now had an 85 passing grade in 4 of his last 5 games. Right now, he's the highest graded quarterback in all of college football this season. Leads the nation in completion rate, leads the nation in adjusted completion rate too. He's the most accurate quarterback in the country. So I think Ohio State right now, you look at it, their defense, probably the best defense in the country. I would argue right now, as of right now, it changes every week it feels like, but as of right now, I would argue the best quarterback in the country, the best receiving core in the country. Ohio State is the clear favorite, I would say, to repeat right now as national champions. It is unbelievable what they have. And Julian Sayin, as a redshirt freshman, former top 10 recruit out of high school, he is living up to that right now. This kid is deadly, deadly accurate, and he's going to be maybe the number 1 overall pick in the 2027 NFL draft because he still has one more year of college ball, which is very scary for the rest of college football right now.
I've hinted at this before, and I know I am fully aware. I know what people in Columbus are going to do. I know what people outside of Columbus are going to do with this. But I've mentioned this to you before. I think especially the style of play, the delivery, and just the level of accuracy. Lofty comp, but man, do I see bits of Drew Brees in this guy. Listen, my mom's a Saints fan. I used to watch Drew Brees every single week. I would argue he's my favorite quarterback of all time, honestly. I see a whole lot of that. It's such clean mechanics, process in the pocket, understanding where to go with his second and third read, understanding when he's got a one-on-one matchup because man, you always have one in this offense you could take advantage of. And I know there's people that are going to be, well, of course he's got the best receiving core in the country. Well, he is making every throw at just a precise level, at a consistent level that just almost can't be taught. Honestly, when you talk about the single most accurate quarterback in the country, he is, and it's really not even close when you look at the numbers right now, the adjusted completion rates, our quarterback charting, everything like that. You have a kid throwing the ball like this, because this was the question. Just like last year, we walked into the season going, okay, this is probably the best roster in the country, and Will Howard's got to get it done, and he did. Same thing this year. This is probably still a top 5 or 6 team in the country, walking into the season, right, going, okay, they got to beat Texas, but also – what's the quarterback look like? Well, he looks fantastic. I'm gonna leave again. You're talking about a top 5 or 6 quarterback ever in Drew Brees, and I'm not saying as far as his career. I don't think Julian Sand's gonna go and throw for 90,000 yards or whatever Brees has, but that style and the pinpoint precision that he plays with on every single. He doesn't miss.
Yeah,
it's the accuracy for me. He does not miss, and you can't teach that part, and the mechanics are so clean, and it's going to stay that way week in and week out.
Yep, 91.9 passing grade, highest in the country, 91.4 overall grade, highest in the country, 84.2% adjusted completion rate, highest in the country, 78.4% completion rate, highest in the country. Julian Sayin is playing lights out football right now, and again, there's a lot of guys you could argue. I know Ty Simpson's had a great year this year too. I put him right up there with Julian Sayin, but I feel like Julian Sayin, he deserves a lot more Heisman love. I'll say that right now, too. You look at the Heisman odds right now, Carson Beck's the favorite, Ty Simpson after that, Mendoza after that, then Jeremiah Smith, and then Julian Sayin. So Julian Sayin is not even the Heisman favorite on his own team right now. I think Julian Sayin, again, I like Ruben Bain Jr. the most, but he's not going to win the award. If you're going to give it to a quarterback as of right now, I would argue it's Julian Sayin.
I mean, there have been a few guys that have played they're up there. Some of those guys you mentioned, especially Simpson, the way he played, I thought yesterday too, he was outstanding. There's some guys up there even, maybe equal, and we can dig in and look at reasons why and things like that. Nobody's playing better than Sayin.
Yep.
Nobody. I mean, he is just he's so unbelievably consistent, and it really does feel like they just had to get through that Texas game. Hey, kid, you're going to put up numbers later in the year. Just Ryan Day just tells him, Brian Hartline tells him, hey, work with us. This one's going to be ugly. We got to win this game 14-7. If we get by this one, boy, oh boy, with the places they're going. And Julian Sayin, it's unbelievable. The only thing I can say again is they just have to be a little bit better in the red zone. If they get the red zone offense up to an elite level too, I think it's a wrap.
Yep.
I think we're at the point with what we've seen them do. Overall, playing probably B-plus football, beating good teams like Washington and Illinois like nothing. There's only probably 4 or 5 teams in the country capable of beating this team.
Yep. Ohio State, 34-16 win over number 17 Illinois, proving why they're the number 1 team in the country right now. Another Big Ten game here in USC beating number 15 Michigan, 31-13. Let's go over the highest graded player, starting off with the USC Trojans. Highest graded player was Makai Lemon, of course, who I would argue right now is the Biletnikoff favorite with a 78 grade in this one for USC. Gita Abasiri, the D tackle, 77.6. Devin Tompkins, another D tackle, 74.1. Kamari Ramsey, 72. King Miller, talk about him later, 72 grade as well. And Jaden Mayava, the quarterback, who some people, Dalton in the chat, are arguing is the best quarterback in the country. Another really good performance for him, 78.9 grade for him against Michigan. Michigan, their highest grade players in the loss. Andrew Marsh, the wide receiver, 79.8. Cole Sullivan, the linebacker, 74.2. Jordan Marshall, the running back, 73. Jake Garniera, the guard, 70.9. Andrew Sprague, the tackle, 70.7. And Bryce Underwood with a 68.8 grade in the loss for Michigan. Dalton, what told the story for you?
I'll say this for Mayava. The numbers are outstanding. He's 5th in the nation in passing grade right now, and he's going to get some chances to prove it, too. You've got at Notre Dame next week. You've got at Nebraska in Week 10. You got a game at Oregon later in the season, second to last week of the season. If Mayava is going to mess around and win a Heisman, he's going to have some chances to have some moments here in the coming weeks that might make a difference. But I'm going to actually focus on him. Him and Lincoln Riley and Jaden Mayava, they executed a plan to perfection in this game. Jaden Mayava was blitzed. We talked in the preview about Wink Martindale. When push comes to shove, he's bringing pressure. Jaden Mayava was blitzed on 57% of his dropbacks in this game. This entire game plan for USC was about dealing with pressure. The screen game was awesome. The RPO game was awesome. There was some design rollouts I really liked, and Mayava got rid of the football quickly. My stat for this game, 2.27 second average time to throw. 2.27, his lowest in over 2 years. Jaden Mayava. He's not usually a guy that always gets rid of the football quickly. There's times he likes to hold on to it and improvise a bit. He got rid of the football on throws, 32 throws, all right? Came out in 2.5 seconds or less. He completed 26 of them. This was a game where Lincoln Riley told him, hey, the pressure's coming. Put the football where I need you to put it. Once in a while, like with Makai Lemon, we're going to have a one-on-one, or with Jacoby Lane, we're going to have a one-on-one. But a lot of times, I need you to get the football out. That first read, the ball's got to come out, and we can beat this team. We have the receivers to beat them on the back end. Obviously, they ran the football well. Also, we're going to get into that. That's a big thing. But 90.6 passing grade versus the blitz. This is exactly what I previewed on Tuesday about this game, was how does USC, how does Jaden Mayava and Lincoln Riley deal with pressure? That's where they beat him, through the air. Unbelievable job, I thought, for Lincoln Riley. Actually, I should say, I want to go back on the 2.5 second thing. 26 out of his 32 throws came out in 2.5 seconds or left. He completed 24 of those 26. Ridiculous stuff. I think the processing, and Lincoln Riley coming in with just a fantastic game plan to deal with Wink Martindale and all of the pressure that he got. Because this Michigan team, because now they don't have Mason Graham and Josiah Stewart and Kenneth Grant, right? Because last year they did blitz a lot, but not quite as much as this year, because they had those guys, and at any time those guys could dominate up front. This year, it's a very good defensive line. Don't get me wrong with Derek Moore and those guys. But Martindale's bringing pressure at the highest rate in the Power 4. That's the first thing you have to deal with as an offensive coordinator. Just outstanding stuff from Lincoln Riley and from Jaden Mayava in this game. Getting rid of the football, playing this game out in space.
Yeah, what they're doing offensively this year is unbelievable. I mean, they're averaging over 45 points per game right now. This is one of the best offenses that we have in college football. I'm looking at the defense, though, because Michigan only had 137 rushing yards in this game. I went into the preview challenging, really, the USC defense to, hey, you need to step up and run defense in this one, because Michigan's going to try to win with their run game, because really, it's how they won last year's game against USC, was with their run game. They had 300 rushing yards in their win last year against USC. Only 137, less than half of that in this one against the Trojans. USC defense did a great job of strapping on their hard hat and just completely shutting down, or really playing well enough against the Michigan run game. They had to stop on 52% of carries in this one, 5 tackles for loss or no gain. Part of it, obviously, had to do with Justice Haynes getting hurt in this one, but the Trojans got it done and made Michigan rely on what's been a below-average passing game this year with Bryce Underwood, and really, namely, those receivers from Michigan just not stepped up enough for them this year. If you make Michigan rely on their passing game, they do not have the weapons or the experienced quarterback yet to take advantage of it. Bryce Underwood has a lot of talent, but he cannot elevate the supporting cast by himself yet, at least. But yeah, great job by USC's defense of just completely playing well in run defense, allowing less than 140 yards on the ground too. USC stepped up in run D, which is what they needed to do to win this game, and they did just that.
Did it feel like when we were watching this game, when Justice Haynes got hurt, that the wind really came out of the sails? And I know Jordan Marshall was okay, 14 carries, 68 yards, but did it feel like that when Justice Haynes went out, it was just like, oh boy, like how are they going to get this done now? Because he's carried such a huge load for this offense. And I think that's a big thing. I think that's going to be a big theme moving forward with Michigan. We saw it in the Oklahoma game. We see it in this game. You know, Andrew Marsh had a big day in this one. He had especially one long catch late in the game for the touchdown. Donovan McCulley has been okay for them in recent weeks, but they just don't have enough weapons on the outside. I think that's something, and even this is going to be a story, I think, going into next year is, man, they need to find Bryce Underwood some weapons. Absolutely. That's going to be the key thing for them is he's good enough. Bryce Underwood is plenty well good enough to win them football games and probably a lot of them in the near future, but they've got to find weapons on the outside where if they end up in a game like this or they end up behind, because right now, you know,
they're 90th in receiving grade right now. It's the same problem as last year. They got a better quarterback, obviously, but it's the same problem as last year.
It is, and I mean this is going to be an issue if they don't have Justice Haynes for any extended period of time. I don't know what the update yet is on this injury, but if they don't have Justice Haynes, and I mean, look, you can't just run the ball for 300 yards on every team every week.
Yeah,
you can't. And Underwood's good enough to win football games, but even when they beat Nebraska, they didn't hardly throw the ball in that game. I mean, Underwood beat him more with his legs than his arms. So I just think the lack of weapons on the outside makes the game hard for Michigan against a team like this that can score and can get out ahead. And then Justice Haynes gets hurt, and then you go, okay, where do we go from here? Because really nobody else in this Michigan offense scares you other than Haynes.
Yep.
They just don't. On the outside, they don't threaten you like that. So, again, credit to USC still responding because, 137 yards rushing? That's still an outstanding total considering this matchup. And, and again, Michigan ran for 300 yards in this game last year. Big-time improvement from D'Anton Lynn in this defense. I think it's fantastic stuff. Are they the best defense in the country? No, but with this offense, they don't have to be.
Yep. So, obviously, Michigan's lacking weapons right now. USC is not lacking weapons because Jacoby Lane's a great number 2 receiver. But Dalton, I would argue right now, the best receiver this year has been Makai Lemon. I would say right now he's the Biletnikoff favorite this year.
He's unreal. I really thought, actually, the biggest play in this game was the outstanding touchdown catch, by the way, on the slot fade right before the first half ended. He does it all. He's an excellent route runner. He can make plays after the catch. He was involved in the screen game a little bit in this game. And the contested catches for a guy who's, 5'10", 5'11"? Mm-hmm. We've seen this. We saw it in the Illinois game, and now we see it in this game. He's got everything. He's got everything. I think he's going to be just an outstanding, especially in the slot, he's going to be an outstanding player at the next level with everything he does, the toughness he plays with, the hands, the route running. He's got it all. He really does. And when you have a guy like this, he's a nightmare matchup for any team. And I think, honestly, the way he can move around the formation, right? And you think about, okay, they're playing Notre Dame next week, right? And you think about Leonard Moore, best corner in the country. Leonard Moore doesn't play in a slot now. So you talk about Makai Lemon getting in on all those slot guys, and a lot of time that's where you want to hurt Notre Dame. I know I'm getting into preview stuff, but he's the difference maker.
Yeah.
He is the matchup nightmare right now for this USC offense. And at any time, because keep in mind, where were they at? They were at the 20 or the 18, looking at just taking one shot towards the end zone before the half, and Michigan had tied the game. It was 7-7 at that point. Michigan actually had some momentum going, and Makai Lemon he's just one of those players. He can do superhuman things on a football field right now, and he makes such a huge difference for their team. It feels like every single time that they need a game-changing play, it is Makai Lemon making it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Jacoby Lane did play this yesterday, but yeah, Makai Lemon is unbelievable, man. He's the highest graded receiver in college football right now. He's the most receiving yards in the Power 4 right now, because I don't know if you saw, but San Jose State has another receiver they just throw to every single time.
Oh, is that how that's
I've got to find his name, but he had 22 targets yesterday. San Jose State receiver.
Danny Scudero with 170 more receiving yards than anyone else in the country. 88 targets this season. 88 targets.
Who's second? Who has the second most targets?
He
had 22 yesterday.
Jordan Tyson.
Okay.
Jordan Tyson
With
at
how many?
74.
That's still 14 more than anyone else in the
14
country.
more targets than Jordan Tyson.
It's just, San Jose State has this one receiver. It's a one-receiver offense. We're throwing to that guy every single play.
Just some version of Nick Nash.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just, but what? No, you're right. What Mekhi Lemon's doing right now, I think you're right. Absolutely, the Blitnikoff favorite right this minute.
And there's been some great, like Mario Craver's been outstanding for Texas A&M.
Absolutely.
Jordan Tyson's been amazing this year too. You can go with either Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Smith, but I think Mekhi Lemon, what the guy's done for that offense, which Kobe Lane battling injuries this year too. I mean, he is unbelievable. He is unfreaking believable. We had some comps in the chat, though. I want to shout out. Got a former USC receiver comp, Amon-Ra St. Brown from Kai Lemon.
Oh, if he becomes that, somebody will be real happy.
And maybe Offensive Rookie of the Year this year, Mekhi Buka, someone shouted out too, from Kai Lemon.
He's a little bit smaller, and I think a little bit more, although now Ibuka is apparently blazing fast and a deep threat. I think a little bit more like, I want to say crafty after the catch, but I get the idea because it's just he can win, especially now Ibuka is apparently a deep threat with the Bucs, where he can win anywhere on the field, and he's so comfortable in tight spaces and contested spots, and his hands are great. I could see that. I like the first one you had there though. I mean, St. Brown. You talk about with Lemon just toughness through it, despite being slightly undersized, just unbelievable. He can make any play at any time, and I think St. Brown does kind of work there too. That makes some sense.
I want to shout out someone else on this offense for USC. King Miller, the running back for the Trojans in this one. So one run game struggled, Michigan. Another one thrived. But really, if you told me all the injuries that USC would have in this game, I would not think they could run the ball in this one because Wayman Jordan went down in this one, and Eli Sanders was already out. So USC was lost both of their top two running backs in this game. King Miller, redshirt freshman walk-on, dominated in this one against a really, really good run defense for Michigan. He ran for 158 yards and a touchdown, 98 yards after contact, 8.8 yards per carry. Also had a couple catches for 14 yards in this one. Again, against the top 10 run defense in the country. I believe right now Michigan's 9th in run defense grade this year in America. Against the top 10 run defense, you're a redshirt freshman walk-on. The top two running backs go down with an injury, and you still go in there and run for almost 160 yards and a touchdown. What a performance from King Miller, the walk-on for USC in this game, for not making the USC offense completely one-dimensional with their passing game. They can rely on King Miller, which just opens up even more for Jaden Mayava and Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane in that passing game.
I mean, just unreal stuff. When you have a kid like that step up, a walk-on freshman like that, I mean, that's – what more could you ask for if you're Lincoln Riley? Especially, again, you mentioned it, this USC offense is so often thought of as one-dimensional. No, they can really run the football this year, whether it's with Jordan or with Sanders or now with King Miller. Now you have a third back in there. Being two-dimensional like this with an offense this wide open. And two other guys I want to shout out that I really like how they've played the last few weeks. They're two tight ends, Lake McCree and Walker Lyons. I think they make a lot of great plays down the seams for this team, too. This USC offense, they've got everything. They have got everything, and as long as Jaden Mayava protects the football, I can't wait for this game against Notre Dame next week. These two offenses going at each other the way that they're playing right now, that's going to be an unbelievable football game. And honestly, if USC messes around and wins, if they go to Notre Dame and win, we got to start talking about USC in the playoff and everything like that. I mean, obviously, even if they lose, they still have a shot with just 2 losses, and there's still an Oregon game coming down the pipe. But if they find a way to go to Notre Dame and win, there's a freight train coming with USC all of a sudden. It's going to be something to watch.
Yeah, by the way, Michigan currently, this is even after yesterday, currently the 6th best run defense grade in the country. And still King Miller, redshirt freshman walk-on, performed like that.
Unreal.
Crazy stuff.
Unreal, out-of-nowhere performance that really, when you talk about USC being ahead in the second half in this game after that Lemon touchdown, that made such a huge difference because then it's like, okay, now we're killing the clock and we're possessing the football. And once you get right now, same as last year, once you get 2 scores ahead on Michigan, you got them in deep, deep trouble.
Yep.
That's how that works with the way their passing game is.
Yeah, big win for USC over a top 15 team in Michigan, and we've got a massive matchup next week with USC against Notre Dame. And again, that's going to be huge for both programs' playoff hopes as well. Before we get to the rest of this review show, we're going to talk about the sponsor of the show. That is Gametime. Hands down, the easiest way that I found personally to get sports tickets. Dalton, Another loaded slate coming up in Week 8 of college football. If you could pick one game to be in attendance for, we will not be in attendance for, unfortunately, because we have the show to do. But if you could go to one game, what would it be?
Wow. I mean, it's loaded. USC Notre Dame is going to be great. That game. How about Ole Miss going to Georgia? Tough win for Ole Miss there over Washington State. Didn't quite play as good as we thought, but I mean, Trinidad Chambliss taking that show to Athens against a Georgia team coming off a big win.
Tennessee Bama's
going to. I mean, down to Neyland. I mean, there's plenty of them next week to pick from. I'll give you that one. The Holy War, BYU and Utah is going to be unbelievable.
You know what? Just because I think it could be a shootout, I think I'm going to go with USC Notre Dame.
Reasonable.
That could be a shootout.
That could be a barn burner. Yeah. Absolutely.
But game time, getting into the game has never been easier thanks to Game Time. Fees are included, so know your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Last-minute deals on tickets right up to the start of the event as well. So again, download the Game Time app and use code PFFC for $20 off your first purchase. Again, PFFC for $20 off. That's Game Time. Amazing deals and no hassle. All right, next up in our review, we got number 5 Texas A&M taking care of business with a 34-17 win over Florida. Let's go over the highest grade players, starting off with the Texas A&M Aggies. Their 2 highest graded players in this game for Texas A&M were both the edge rushers, Deion Hayes and Cassius Howell. 91.1 for Deion Hayes, 87.7 for Cassius Howell. Tyreek Chappell, the safety, 75.9. Linebacker Damian Sanford, 74.7. And linebacker Torian York, 71.6. All 5 of the highest graded players at A&M came on the defensive side of the ball, with Marcel Reed with a solid 69.5 grade in the win for Texas A&M. Gorgeous uniforms, by the way. Love the throwback for A&M in this one. Florida, though, their highest grade player was linebacker Aaron Childs, 79.2. Another linebacker here in Miles Graham, 75.9. Cornerback Devin Moore, 68.9. Edge rusher Cameron James, 68.4. D-tackle Brenton Bett, 67.8. And DJ Lagway with a 45.2 grade in the loss for Florida. Dalton, what told the story in this win for Texas A&M?
Yeah, Texas A&M kind of stumbled here for the first quarter on defense especially, and it was a strange approach, a lot of man-to-man coverage, and you know, there was some really nice throws made by DJ Lagway in the first quarter of this game to Vernell Brown, especially J. Michael Sturdivant. I think when you look at this game, though, Florida just couldn't sustain it, and it's really something that has hurt their offense throughout this season. Even last week against Texas, great first half, kind of inconsistent second half, and I think that part of that comes with Lagway. But you look at the grades on this Texas A&M defense, all right? Go to more zone coverage as the game goes on, make Lagway sit back there and read the defense and throw underneath. A&M's defense, first quarter, 58.2 defensive grade. Last 3 quarters, 78.1. Florida had 157 yards of offense in the first quarter. They had 162 the rest of the game. And they had 5 explosive plays in the first quarter. 5 explosive plays in the first quarter, 5 the rest of the game. A&M's defense, and now we've seen this the last couple weeks against Auburn, against Mississippi State, and now this is a very explosive Florida offense that did make plays in the first quarter. After that first quarter, Gators scored 3 points the rest of the way. Mike Elko in this defense found the groove. They made Lagway throw underneath, and I think that's a real problem right now for this Florida offense is just, USF did it. LSU obviously did it. You can throw some zone blitzes in there too, but when your edge players are playing as well as A&M's did last night, you don't have to blitz a whole lot. Sit back, play zone coverage, make Lagway throw it accurately underneath. The footwork is still not there. I mean, it's just for DJ Lagway. The development and the footwork it just affects the accuracy. Accuracy comes from the ground up and having a consistent base, and DJ Lagway has the opposite of a consistent base with his footwork. So I think you look at Mike Elko and the adjustments he made pretty early in this game in the second quarter, and then it was just lights out from there. And A&M, they kept up. Credit to Marcel Reed early on for playing great early in this game. Him and Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion, he was battling a tweaked hamstring throughout the night, but he was still great. A&M's defense, though, right now is putting the clamps on these opposing offenses. We're going to see how that continues to go with a couple of tough road games coming up, but they've been fantastic the last 3 weeks on defense, and after the first quarter, that continued in this game.
Yeah, I have another defensive stat, too. It was crazy for me. Florida was 1 for 11 on 3rd and 4th down in this game. Mike Elko's defense was dominant overall, but especially in the biggest moments. Again, only 1 first down for Florida on 11 opportunities. On those money downs, Florida, negative .976 EPA per play, a 45.7 offensive grade, only 2.8 yards per play for Florida on money downs in this game. And DJ Lagway had a 38.4 passing grade on 3rd and 4th down. Great job by Texas A&M for getting Florida into a lot of 3rd and longs in this one, and the Aggies got off the field. Eventually, they gassed Florida's defense out in this one because they got off the field so consistently in this one. Just an outstanding job by Texas A&M's defense on the biggest plays of the game. Florida could never, it seemed like, pick up a first down. Just Mike Elko's defense was amazing in this one, I would say.
I want to say the approach, too, from Mike Elko at the end of this game, they were up 24-17 late in this game. And they ran the ball on 19 of their last 20 plays. And the one pass was a screen. He got to a point where he basically just said, oh, this team can't score on us. We're just going to milk the clock now because they just can't. Because they had proven for 2 quarters at that point already that they couldn't do it. And I'm trying to find, do we have the last 3 games now of I'm going to find real quick here, their last 3 games where A&M has been on 3rd down on defense, because it is just ridiculous what they're doing on 3rd down right now. A&M has allowed, pulling it up, because you said 1 for 11 in this game.
1 for 11 in this one, yeah.
A&M now has allowed, suspense, I'm clicking through things, hang on. 2 for their last 33 on 3rd down.
Holy crap, dude.
These last 3 games, Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, are 2 for 33
Jesus.
on 3rd down. When you're getting off the field like that on 3rd down, you're going to win ball games.
That's a 6% rate.
Yeah. 2 for 33, Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida. If they keep that show on the road, they got, I think, 3 tough road games in a row. I know Arkansas and LSU are 2 of them. I mean, what do you do? I mean, you better make plays on 1st down then, because you're not going to get them on 3rd down in these obvious passing situations. 2 for the last 33 they have allowed to convert.
That's nuts.
On 3rd down. That's silly. That's just beyond silly. I don't even know what to say about that. That speaks for itself.
That's even better rate than what they had in this game. 1 for 11.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Like
I think Auburn had 1 and Mississippi State didn't have any. And now Florida had 1.
Yeah.
That's just silly. It speaks for itself. But when you get defensive coordinators, it's like the first thing they say all the time. Oh, we got to get off the field on 3rd down. Well, Mike Elko, your defense is doing it. Yeah. I'm sure you're well aware of it. That's probably his favorite stat out of anything that's happened the last few weeks.
Before we go to the other side of the ball, I want to give my most impressive real quick. The A&M edge rushers, big reason why they're getting off the field on 3rd and 4th down in this one. Cassius Howell continues to look like one of the best defensive players that we have in college football this year, and maybe a potential first-round pick. I know his arms are a little bit shorter, but this guy is dominating right now for the Aggies. 90.3 pass rush grade, 4 pressures. He had a sack and a hit and 3 other pass rush wins. He had Austin Barber's head spinning in this game. Austin Barber had a 0.0 pass blocking grade, I believe, right? Did it end up at 0.0?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a guy who could be a top 50 pick in the NFL draft this year. And he had a 0.0 against A&M because of Cassius Howell and Deion Hayes. But Cassius Howell, 8 sacks right now, tied for 2nd in the country behind only David Bailey of Texas Tech, who also could be a first-round pick. We'll talk about him later on in the show. He's not the only one who dominated, though, because Deion Hayes, like I mentioned before, 92.8 pass rush grade, 3 pressures, and a sack on only 19 pass rush snaps. So both Cassius Howell and Deion Hayes were incredible for Texas A&M against a really good Florida offensive line, too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, to have players like Austin Barber put up numbers like that because your edge rush, I mean, Cassius Howe especially is just a monster, like you mentioned. On the other side, I want to talk about A&M's offensive line. Outstanding in pass protection. How about a 92 pass blocking grade as a team? They were only charged with 1 pressure. Reed was only under pressure 3 times the entire night. 0 sacks, obviously. Florida, after a great week last week, pass rushing against Texas. Right back to the old habits we had before where we just get nothing here from their pass rush. I don't care who it is. You leave a quarterback that clean and you only pressure him 3 times all night, he's going to hurt you. So, I mean, A&M, after the first quarter on defense, you could argue this was the most complete game they played all year. I think Mike Elko is getting closer to, hey, guys, we're starting to play full 60-minute ball games now. Now they got to take the show on the road. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch Texas A&M the second half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Texas A&M, what an incredible win for them with a 34-17 win over Florida. And Texas A&M, halfway through the year, is going to be the highest-ranked team in the SEC right now, which is probably not something we thought we would be saying going into the year, Dalton. We had them top 15 going into the year, but they are firmly a top 5 team in college football right now. All right, next up, another SEC game. Number 11 LSU beating South Carolina 20-10. The final score in this one. Let's go to LSU with their highest grade players, starting off with their star tight end. You'll talk about later, Dalton, in Trey Green, 83.8 grade for the freak athlete at tight end. Tamarcus Cooley, safety, 80.9. Mansour Delane, who's been a star all year for LSU. He's been great in this one, too. 78.8 grade. Wide receiver Kyle Parker, 76.8. Caden Durham, 75.6, the running back. And Garrett Nussmeier with a 71 grade at quarterback. South Carolina, meanwhile, their highest grade players, and they lost. Monkel Goodwine, the D tackle, 88.6. Dylan Stewart, 77.8, the edge rusher. Another D tackle here, Nick Barrett, 77. Safety Peyton Williams, 75.9. Vakari Swain, the corner, 67.9. And Lenoris Sellers with a 56 grade in the loss for South Carolina. Dalton, what told the story in this game?
What do you know, Max? LSU ran the football. They ran for 165 yards in this game. We're excluding sacks because we don't do that around here. I'm giving them the real rushing credit here. And look, was their offensive line fantastic in this game? No, it wasn't. It's not a great run-blocking unit. We already know that. Garrett Nussmeier got beat up, man. He got beat up in this game. He was battling. He was limping. He was hobbling, everything like that. But the fact that LSU, just a little, that's all I'm asking for, just a little bit of balance. It's not crazy. It's 165 yards. It's actually 5.5 yards to carry. That's pretty good. How about out of those 165, 143 after contact?
There you go.
That'll do. I mean, look, sometimes you got to just run the football and let these athletes be athletes, man. Caden Durham was really good. Jawan Johnson, outside of the fumble at the 1-yard line, he was solid on his handful of carries. Even Nussmeier scrambled a couple times, 3 scrambles for 32 yards. I think that's all I'm asking for. You know, because LSU, look, they've won low-scoring games. It's ugly. They're not great on the offensive line because they got 4 new starters this year. But when you can just hand the football off to Caden Durham, it reminds me a lot of last year's game against South Carolina. Who turned the momentum in this game, I thought? Caden Durham. Yep. I really believe that. When they had to seal the game, who got the big run to get him inside the 30? Caden Durham. Right? I think it's just they need a little. They're not going to be the best rushing team in the country, but this is all I'm asking. If they run for 165 yards every week, they're going to be so hard to beat because Nussmeier then doesn't have to drop back 60 times, and he's been relatively safe with the football this year, right? And it's been a struggle in the passing game with the pass protection, and there hasn't been a lot of variety. But
Aaron Anderson was also out yesterday.
And Aaron Anderson was out in this game. They had to grind this game. South Carolina's defense was really good in this game. They were outstanding in this game, considering their offense was giving them nothing. They were giving them no sort of help outside of the one Matt Fuller touchdown. South Carolina's defense was really good in this game. LSU, they had to dig, man. They had to dig into their guts and heart and soul to find a way to get out of this one. Nussmeier again was hobbled. He was getting hit all night. But the fact that Caden Durham, Jawan Johnson gave them something on the ground. This is another one. If LSU would have gone out here and ran for 80 yards, I think they would have lost. They would have found a way to lose this game. I really believe that. But the fact that they could just have a little bit of balance in their offense, I think it was massive for them. And if they can continue that will continue to be big for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with Aaron Anderson out, one of the top receivers. I mean, they definitely needed that run game to step up, and they did. Not for South Carolina, though. This is the same problem for South Carolina over and over again, and a great job by LSU of exploiting it. South Carolina, negative .286 EPA per pass. Dalton is the worst EPA per pass number for South Carolina since last year against LSU was the last time they had a lower number. So LSU's got Lenore Sellers' numbers, what I'm saying right now.
And that was a game
where he got hurt.
Where Robbie Ashford played the second half of the game. Yeah.
Correct. Gamecocks only 124 yards through the air, 4.3 yards per attempt. Sellers, 50.6 passing grade. South Carolina, 48.1 receiving grade and a 43.8 pass blocking grade, 0 for 3 on deep throws too. They could not do anything offensively against a really, really good LSU defense, especially in that secondary. I'll talk about later on too. They have a loaded secondary in LSU and Baton Rouge right now. But I said in the preview, this supporting cast around Lenore Sellers is horrendous. They have nothing around him on offense right now, whether it be in the receiving core, the run game, or along the offensive line. It really is Sellers by himself on that offense right now. And this is why they're failing, is because they have nothing outside of a freak athlete at quarterback who maybe still could be a first-round pick in the NFL draft, but we really won't know because this South Carolina offense is just not setting up their star quarterback to succeed. And a great job by LSU. Their defense is simply too good, especially on the back end with those linebackers and those that secondary. That defense is too good to go up against a South Carolina offense that doesn't have really any threats outside of Sellers. Just a great job by LSU just completely shutting down South Carolina's overall offense in this game, but really their passing game.
Their only touchdown, the Matt Fuller touchdown, 72 yards, that was their only play all night more than 20 yards.
Yep.
This team, if South Carolina's ideal situation. Now, they did run the football well in this game, 248 rushing yards. That's one thing that helps you a lot. They ran the football well. Finally, it was probably the best rushing day of the season. But they don't create explosive plays right now, and that's the problem, especially in the passing game. And look, LSU, this was the part of this matchup where LSU was going to give South Carolina problems. They just don't give up the deep ball. They don't do it. It's one of the best secondaries in the country. It's the biggest reason that LSU is 5-1 is their secondary and their improvement in coverage. They're an elite coverage unit. You're not just going to walk in and throw deep balls on this team. You're just not going to do it. Lenore Sellers completed, I believe, one pass over 10 air yards.
Yeah.
They will never win like that because Sellers is not precise and pinpoint enough underneath to work through that. In the same way we talk about DJ Lagway, it's the same thing. Sit back, contain him on the defensive line. If you have a Harold Perkins type spy, cool. A lot of teams don't have that. Contain him, don't let him break outside the hash marks, make him throw from the pocket, and make him throw underneath. And they just don't have the ability at quarterback or receiver to do that. They can't.
And let's go to LSU for a second, because obviously Aaron Anderson out, so many people are wondering who's going to step up and be the top pass catcher for Garrett Nussmeier and Dalton. They have a freak of all freaks. We thought South Carolina had the freak athletes going into the year. They do, with Sellers, obviously, and Dylan Stewart, and Nick Harbor, too. But Trey'Dez Green is right up there with him, man. He might be the freakiest athlete we have at tight end in the entire country.
He plays really, he's tight end in name only. He lines up at receiver 2/3 of the time. He's 6'7", and every time I looked up at we had 6 games on different TVs going yesterday, and every time I looked up at the LSU game, it was just Trey'Dez Green going on somebody's head. 6'7", I don't know how you cover him. He's
such a fluid mover too.
I'm throwing a name out here. Dangerous, I know. I'm just throwing a bunch of dangerous.
Drew Brees comp earlier. What are you gonna do now, Gronk?
I was gonna say Kyle Pitts. It's the Kyle Pitts problem at Florida, where you go, he's so big and fast and freaky, where you go, how do we even? I mean, honestly, and there's times when it's like he's not open, but he is, because you just go. Nussmeier, just throw it up to him. To throw it at his forehead, and there's not a corner getting up there. I mean, 8 catches, 119 yards, and you mentioned it with Aaron Anderson out. Huge performance. He was their best player offensively in this game. 3 for 3 uncontested targets because, of course, he's 6'7". Yep. Also forced 2 missed tackles. He's just so darn big, and like you mentioned, he's a fluid mover. That's literally what Garrett Nussmeier is thinking. I'm sure that's what Joe Sloan is telling him. Is just, hey, this guy right here. Throw it 3 inches above his forehead. There's not a corner in the country. There's not, especially the way that they're lining him up on the outside 2/3 of the time. There's not a corner in the country that's getting up there.
Yep.
Just if you see him at all in a one-on-one, just throw it as high as he can reach. And there's just no. I mean, it's like watching just a power forward in basketball, just boxing out corners all night. It was unbelievable stuff from Trey'Dez Green. He's going to be a big part of this offense moving forward because I think they haven't found that guy who wins those one-on-ones this year consistently, Trey'Dez Green can do that. And the different alignments they put him in, and just, I mean, what do you do? Honestly, what do you do with a guy with a 6'7" and this wingspan and this level of physicality at the catch point? I don't even know what to do with that.
He's such a freak, man. He's a 5-star recruit a couple years ago. He's only a sophomore right now. I'll say he's going to be a first-round pick in next year's draft in 2027. This guy is just a freak at 6'7", 240. And like I said, it's more than just the jump balls. He moves so fluidly for a 6'7", 240 player, too. So Trey'Dez Green looks very much like a first-round pick in 2027 because he still has one more year of college ball after this year, which is really terrifying for a lot of SEC defenses right now. I want to shout out a guy who is in the LSU secondary, and not a guy that we've shouted out a lot this year like Mansour Delane or like A.J. Halsey. I'm going to shout out Tamarcus Cooley right here. 86.4 coverage grade, only 1 catch allowed on 3 targets for only 4 yards in this one. He also had an interception and 2 forced incompletions. He really caught the ball as much as his receivers did in this game. Only a 2.8 passer rating allowed. Again, I mentioned before, Delane and Halsey have both been outstanding for LSU secondary this year. They're the 2 stars of that unit. But when you have a guy like Tamarcus Cooley performing like that against South Carolina, that's big-time stuff, and that's why LSU is on the short list for the best secondary in college football this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'll say it again, and Nussmeier gets the hype, and Trey'Dez Green in this one, well deserved. But their secondary, their improvement in coverage from what was a poor covering unit the last 2 years. That's the reason they are where they are and why they're playoff contenders.
Definitely, big win for LSU, beating South Carolina 20-10. Let's go to the next game that we're going to talk about. That is a very, very fun Big 12 game that we had. Big 12 after dark last night because we had a little bit of a lightning delay in BYU-Arizona. BYU ultimately pulling it out 33-27 over Arizona in double overtime. Number 18 BYU continuing their undefeated season. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with BYU. Highest graded player was Siale Acera, the linebacker, 79.1. Talk about him later. LJ Martin, the running back, 77.6. Maury Bamba, the corner, 76.7. Parker Kingston, the wide receiver, 76.5. Kyle Svarocic, the guard, 71.9. And Bear Bachmeier with a 58.7 grade in the win. Arizona, meanwhile, their highest grade player was Traden Stukes, the safety, 83.9. Kedrick Riscano, the running back, 78.3. Chris Hudson, the wide receiver, 74.7. Dalton Johnson, the safety, 72.8. Teoali Savea, the D-tackle, 72.1. And Noah Fafita with an 81.95 grade, I should say. Dalton, what told the story in what was an incredible, incredible Big 12 game?
What a ball game, and just another gutsy effort from BYU to find a way to win a game, right? Down 14 against Colorado, came back to win. There was a tough game earlier in the year against East Carolina. They got a really good defense, found a way to win it. In this game especially, when it looked like they were dead in the water, down 10 late in the fourth quarter and find a way. Bear Bachmeier finds a way to lead him back. I think, it's all reliable for me anytime I do either this show or the Monday show NFL with Trevor. There's always one game where I look and I go in the box and I go, oh, yeah, it's the red zone. That's exactly what it is. I mean, BYU in the red zone, they went 2 for 3. The tying and winning touchdowns, obviously, down late in the game. They found a way to punch it in. The run game was working for them all night with LJ Martin, with Bear Bachmeier. Arizona, 1 for 5. 1 touchdown in 5 red zone trips, settled for a 24-yard field goal in the second quarter. No, first of all, I don't know, I think it was in the third quarter, why on 4th and 4 from the 5 would you took a 24-yard field goal earlier if you're Arizona, and then they go for it on 4th and 4 from the 5. They come away with nothing. Noah Fafita throws an interception. Thought that was kind of weird. In overtime then, okay, so we're going to get aggressive or not? What are we doing? In overtime, and they had the ball first in the first overtime. The first overtime they had the ball first. 4th and 2 now from the 5-yard line. Now they decide to kick it. 27-24. They hold BYU to a field goal. Okay, fine, but it changes the dynamic if you score a touchdown first. Okay, and then the second overtime they got down in there and they didn't score. I just think the red zone, again, BYU, every bit of this game was BYU just being given every slight bit of opportunity to come back in this game, and they took advantage of it. Credit to them. I mean, this is what Kalani Sitake's team does, is we saw this last year in all the one-score games they played in last year. You leave the door open for this team, they're gritty enough to come back and win a football game. And honestly, we have other guys as most impressive, but how about just the absolute guts of Bear Bachmeier? And sometimes it's ugly, and there was a fumble in overtime or late in the fourth. I think it was maybe late in the fourth. That really could have hurt him, but he keeps sticking his head in there in the run game. He makes throws when he has to. They ask a lot of him, and every single week, it's like I said last week, and you mentioned it. This was their toughest game so far. This is the best team they've played so far and on the road. But every single week, you just see a little more from Bachmeier, a little more toughness, a little more learning how to win. And in the grades, 58.7. It was ugly. There was a lot of this game that was ugly. There was a bad interception late in the first half, but finding ways to win, especially with a young kid, a true freshman like that, that's really important for that kid and for that program. Bear Bachmeier showing the guts that he did when they had an opportunity and winning a game like that right after a 14-point comeback against Colorado. Big-time stuff from BYU. Credit to them, because, again, people are going to go, well, they're 6-0 on a soft schedule. Well, they have a true freshman quarterback, and they're finding a way. And next week we get to find out. I can't wait for that either. Yeah. What a slate we have next week. Yep.
BYU, by the way, back-to-back 6-0 starts for the first time in program history. They're back-to-back 6-0.
That's silly.
That's incredible.
In two different ways. In both of them, you would think after the great year they had last year, we would go, all right, come on, they're going to start 5-0, 6-0 this year. But because of the quarterback situation and because now Bear Bachmeier coming in the spring, we go, okay, they're not starting 6-0 again, right? They're going to trip. They're at Colorado. They're at Arizona. The Utah game's coming. And Kalani Sitake, man, they just find ways. They find ways to win games, and they battle to the very last play.
Yeah, mine is BYU .330 EPA per run. Bear Bachmeier, lowest graded game of his career. And BYU responded by running the ball incredibly well. 258 yards in this game, 5.3 yards per carry, 3.6 yards after contact per carry. LJ Martin, 161 yards and a touchdown. Bear Bachmeier, 89 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. A great job by LJ Martin of lifting up his quarterback, and also a great job at Bear Bachmeier for finding a different way to be effective, because obviously was not happening as a passer in this game. Great teams figure out ways to win, and BYU is doing that right now with a true freshman at quarterback. So BYU with their run game, .330 EPA per run, that to me is why they ultimately came back in this game and ultimately why they won this game too. Dalton, what was the most impressive part of this game?
And I just want to throw in there about Martin and this team running. They've been outstanding running the football in general all season, and that was this game being close enough and getting in good situations where they could still run the football and not force Bachmeier to drop back was big. LJ Martin, 7th in the country in rushing yards. I know Ahmad Hardy's obviously the favorite, rightfully so, for the Doak Walker, but boy, Martin's not that far behind him for the way he's carried the load for this team. I want to shout out a guy I think is just super important to this team in two different phases. The wide receiver, Parker Kingston, what a ball game he had. 5 catches for 117, a long touchdown, 75-yard touchdown in the first half, and what he does as a receiver, at times as a jet sweep guy, as a runner, and a play that I don't want to be forgotten in this game. BYU got a 3-and-out late in the fourth quarter. They're down 7. They need, just another play to spark them. And again, I think this is a big reason the run game could stay in on that last tying drive. Parker Kingston also, we know him as one of the best kick returners in the country. Big 26-yard punt return late in the fourth quarter to set up BYU in Arizona territory with that tying drive. I just think he's incredibly valuable because they don't have at receiver a ton of speed. Chase Roberts has solid speed, but Parker Kingston and what he adds with the speed, both as a receiver and in the return game, I think he's just so underrated and extremely valuable for this team, and to be valuable in two different phases, and he showed it in both phases. And I think the biggest, quietest play of this game was the punt return before the game-tying drive. Great stuff from Parker Kingston. I think they got to continue to use him more.
I want to shout out Siale Acera, the linebacker for BYU in this one. So we talked so much this year about how BYU's linebacker unit is one of the best in the country, and it is, with Isaiah Glasker and Jack Kelly leading it. But another BYU linebacker to me was a star of this game in Siale Acera. Jack Kelly did not play in this game due to an injury. Glasker had overall an okay game, but Acera was a star for BYU as a linebacker in this one. 79.1 PFF grade, 78.2 coverage grade, 0 catches allowed, forced incompletion, and a coverage stop. He also had 5 run defense stops a tackle for loss, and 2 pressures. Really, the entire mantra of BYU's season this year is next man up, with Jake Retzlaff obviously leaving the program in the summer. Next man up, Bear Bachmeier. Now Jack Kelly going down with an injury. Next man up, Ciele Acera. I mean, this is just an incredible all-around team. Whenever one of their star players goes down with an injury or is not playing well, they have another guy ready to take it up and be the star player for the game. And that's why BYU in back-to-back years now for the first time ever is 6-0 to start their first half of the season. Just really great job by Ciele Acera of embodying that next man up mentality that Kalani Sitake and the Cougars have right now.
I can't think of a single game in the last 2 years with these BYU runs where I look at a game and go, that one guy is the reason they won this game. Yep. I can't think of a single occasion, because it's always either somebody different or it's and it's all 3 phases. It's special teams too. It's offense, defense, and special teams. I cannot think of a game off the top, and there probably isn't one where it's just, 1 or 2 guys took the game over and they were the best players on the field. Because we see that so often in other games. It's the quarterback. It's one receiver goes for 200.
And that makes it so hard, because whenever we're doing interviews, we do a lot of BYU radio hits too, because a lot of people reach out and we love the BYU faithful. And whenever they ask them, like, okay, what is making BYU so good? I'm like, it's everything. They're not bad at anything. That's not like they're elite at one specific thing. They're just good at everything across the board.
It's something we almost have a hard time quantifying, because again, I think what they do best is just the complementary football. And if you ask me right now, what is BYU's best trait as a team, I would go just how together they play.
Yeah.
I really think, there's certain programs that have this, and it's hard to build this. I think Georgia is like this. I think Iowa State's another team that generally is like this, where you just go, they just play so well together, and they constantly understand that, okay, if the offense is down like it was for the middle part of this game, the defense will keep us in it. If we need a big punt return from Kingston, like in this game, it'll keep us in it. If we need to rely on once or twice the true freshman Bachmeier, he'll get it done. If it's leaning on LJ Martin, a veteran, I mean, they just have this way of knowing that the guys around them are going to get it done. And that's really what makes them so dangerous, because you can't, when you look at them, you're absolutely right. You can't pick and pinpoint one thing to go, that's it. The run defense sucks. That's it. This one corner is the guy we pick on. Oh, this quarterback can't handle the blitz. You can't just pick on one thing. The BYU makes you walk out there and play better in all 3 phases if you're going to beat them. And right now, that's why they're 6-0 again.
Yeah, incredible job by BYU winning this game, and just incredible job by the team overall for just never having a true weakness, it feels like, on this roster. And it's why, if one thing's failing for them, they could rely on another thing to win ball games right now, which is why, again, first time ever, they're back-to-back years with a 6-0 record. Another Big 12 game we're talking about right here, Colorado beating number 22 Iowa State 24-17. Let's go over the highest grade players, starting off with the Buffaloes. Highest grade player for Colorado was wide receiver Joseph Williams with an outstanding game, 89.8 grade for him. Taufik Bayard, the safety, 83.8. Jordan Seaton, who's looking like maybe the best pass blocker in the country right now, 73.9. Edge rusher London Merritt, 73. Yvonne Yates, the safety, 72.1. And Caden Salter with an elite 90.6 grade for him against Iowa State. Now let's go to Iowa State with their highest grade players in the loss. Abu Sama III, the running back, 85.2. Brendan Black, the guard, 72.1. Caleb Bacon, the linebacker, 71.4. Tashawn James, the safety, 68.7. Quentin Taylor Jr., 68.6. And Rocco Beck, the quarterback, with a 53 grade in the loss for Iowa State. Back-to-back losses now for the Iowa State Cyclones. Dalton, what told the story of this game?
I think the theme for Colorado and why Deion Sanders is going to be proud of his team is that they finally finished a game. I mean, look at all of the games you talk about, right? They had a lead in the Georgia Tech game, didn't finish it. They were tight with Houston at halftime, fell apart in the second half. Up 14-0 on BYU, blew it. Up on TCU, 14-0, blew it. This game, they finally finished in the second half. Second half grades, 82.2 on offense, 74.9 on defense. On both sides, the best half that they have played all season, the second half of this game. They finally finished, and they finally finished all the way to the 60-minute mark. They have lost some heartbreakers lately, absolutely. And Coach Prime has said this. He's like, listen, we're not this bad. We are just not finishing games, and we're losing every critical moment. They won all the critical moments in this game, and it's tight, and it's ugly, and Iowa State's usually really good in situational football, but Colorado found a way. The biggest moments in this game, and especially as it got towards the end of it, they found a way to make the plays that they hadn't been making in their 4 losses. Because yes, now they're 3-4 now? Am I counting?
3-4, yeah.
They're now 3. They played one of the few teams I've seen play 7 games already.
Yeah.
But the 3-4 now, and it's something he said in almost every press. The only game. There was one game where I forget who was it they played where they just got.
Houston.
That was yes, but even then they were looking okay the first half. They found momentum at the end of the first half, and then it just fell apart on them. They were the less physical team in that game. But really, in all 4 of their losses, it's this inability to finish. They finished the job here. And then Iowa State, part of it that plays into that too. It's the other way. Unforced errors. Just something we're not used to seeing from Iowa State. 2 for 12 on 3rd down. 0 for 1 in the 4th quarter on 4th down. 2 fumbles. An interception, a bad Rocco Becht interception. Tawfiq Bayard picked him off in the end zone. 4 drops. 2 more passed up field goals without Kyle Conradi here. A 50-yarder and something that would have been close to a 60-yarder, but at altitude you might have tried it. And not having a kicker, did you see too the sequence where there was the first kickoff of the second half? They had the 3rd-string kicker in there, and he got hurt apparently. And remember we talked about Carson Rhodes, the offensive lineman?
Yeah.
He had to come in for a kickoff. And the problem with that was, too, he was kicking off from the 20 because right after Iowa State just scored, they got an unsportsmanlike penalty that pushed the kickoff back 50 yards. And Colorado gets great field position on this. I mean, legitimately, the kicker situation has hit as such where a 6'8", 310-pound offensive lineman is kicking for him. There's just little unforced errors we're not used to seeing from Matt Campbell's team that we've seen the last 2 weeks. And it's really hurting them because now they got 2 conference losses in a row, and Iowa State's not they're not sitting as pretty as they were a couple weeks ago.
No, certainly not. My stat is the EPA per pass difference in this one. Colorado, 0.453. Iowa State, negative 0.113. Caden Salter was outstanding in this game for the Buffaloes. 92.6 passing grade, 4 big-time throws, no turnover-worthy plays, 10 yards per attempt with a banged-up receiving core, too. And he and Joseph Williams were amazing in this win for Colorado. Rocco Becht, meanwhile, 58.5 passing grade, no big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play, and only 6.2 yards per attempt. So credit to Colorado, because I would have said they did not have the advantage in the passing game going into this game, but they proved me wrong because Caden Salter, with his best game as a Colorado quarterback, I would say this year, and Rocco Becht really struggled against that secondary too. Colorado won this game because their passing game was infinitely better than Iowa State's in this one.
And credit to Salter, because there was no more criticized man in Boulder, Colorado than Caden Salter. I mean the fans, social media, everybody just all over him because, the quarterback's always going to get the blame, but, just the resolve in him to come out against a ranked team in a game like this and play just outstanding football. And I thought Pat Shurmur did a good job with this offense of, okay, let's 60 minutes of doing things that Caden Salter is comfortable with. RPOs, play action, deep isolated routes, deep out routes to Joe Williams. And that's my most impressive guy right there is Joe Williams. 8 catches, 128 yards, and a touchdown. 7 of the 8 catches were either the first down or a touchdown. Vertical plays, perfect passer rating, 158.3 when Salter was targeting Williams. And I thought, you know what? What a play from both of them. Up 7. It's 3rd and I think 16 late in the game. And you go, okay, are they just going to run the ball here and kill 40 seconds? And Pat Shurmur lets Salter throw an absolute seed down the seam to Williams to really ice this game. That was a huge play as well. They have yet to have a number 1 receiver really step up. Maybe Williams can be that guy. And Marion Miller had a long touchdown in this game too. But I think you're absolutely right about Salter, though. It's just the resolve of him after all. I mean, he has gotten a mountain of criticism and people calling for Julian Lewis and all this stuff, and he got benched once already. And to come back in this game and pull off this win, credit to him, man. That takes some real toughness to come out and win a game like that.
Speaking of toughness, I want to shout out Coach Prime as my most impressive in this one, because this guy had surgery to fix his blood clots on Tuesday. He has very, very clearly been in serious pain this year on the sidelines for Colorado between the blood clots and also his bladder cancer that he announced back in July. it has not been the easiest year for Coach Prime at Colorado this year, who's, of course, his sons are no longer with that program. The Buffaloes right now still have a losing record this year. Coach Prime has every excuse in the world to walk away from coaching right now, and yet he is still sticking it out for his players in that program right now, even with all the health issues he's had this year. He is going to war on the sidelines for his players, and in turn, his players are going to war for him right now. So a great job by Coach Prime for leading by example right now, because, I mean, what he is going through with all the health issues he's dealt with this year, I mean, I don't know many coaches in the country that would continue coaching with what he's dealt with this year. Just unbelievable job by Coach Prime for having the blood clot issues, for barely being able to walk on the sidelines, and coaching this game anyways with the bladder cancer he had back in July that, of course, that thankfully he's recovered from. But Coach Prime, just a really tough year all around. And again, without Travis Hunter, without Shedeur Sanders, without Shiloh Sanders, his two sons there, it would have been very easy for him to walk away and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not happy I coached my sons there. I'm done with this now. But he's sticking through it, man. And just an unreal job by Deion Sanders of that program.
Well, and all the noise that generally comes with this program, all the criticism of his quarterback, all the criticism of late game situations and blowing 14-point leads. And then still on a weekly basis, he's getting asked questions about Shedeur in pressers. He's still getting, what is it? Joe Flacco gets traded, and somebody asked Coach Prime immediately about Shedeur in a presser. And he's just like, yeah, I don't care about the Browns. The Browns aren't my team. I coach Colorado. Ask me a Colorado question. Like, I mean, and again, for him and this team, for him to recognize, hey, we're not this bad. We're not 2-4 bad, but we're not playing 60 minutes. We're playing 45 or 48 minutes, and it's those minutes that we're not playing that are costing us games. No, it is a big credit to them. It really is. It's a big credit to them. And I want to just throw on the other side of this, the Iowa State side of this. These injuries are really hurting them. It's really hurting them, and you talk about now 2 conference losses in a row, one to a likely contender all of a sudden in Cincinnati. Iowa State, they've got a bye week, and then they've got BYU, Arizona State. We're going to find out what Iowa State's made of right now, because the injuries have gotten to them, and they have this right now. They're making unforced errors the last 2 games we're not used to seeing. They've got to buckle up now for the stretch run after this bye week, because these 2 conference losses, with the way that Texas Tech looks, the way Cincinnati looks, the way that Utah potentially, whoever wins that Utah-BYU game is in a driver's seat. Iowa State, it's gut check time now for them after 2 straight losses.
Do you want to talk more about Joseph Williams? I know you touched on it a little bit already. But
no, I mean, yeah, it's just every time they needed a big play, they got it from Joe Williams and Caden Salter, and that's the big thing. If that continues and they're two-dimensional in this game, I think this game showed you flashes, still wasn't perfect, flashes of Colorado being two-dimensional. If they can be two-dimensional, they're a threat, because they've been running the ball pretty well all year.
Yep. Yeah, great job by him. And like I said, a lot of injuries in the receiving core they dealt with this year too. So the fact that Joe Williams could step up like that and play like that was outstanding. I guess even though there's a lot of injuries in the Iowa State secondary, still a talented secondary they have back there. Great job by him and Caden Salter for winning this game. And Coach Prime, who is, I would argue right now, the toughest coach in college football, a major, major win for him and the Buffaloes this year. Final game in our review was a very, very fun Friday night game that Dalton and I were at Mount Lookout Tavern, I believe we went to.
Oh, great place.
To watch, yeah, great place. We were there from 6:30 p.m. until, 2 a.m.?
Well, because we watched all 15 innings of Mariners-Tigers there, which was just ridiculous. Condolences to Mitch Kaiser.
It went from a restaurant to a full club by the time we left.
Yeah.
That place. Yeah.
And we were just locked in on USF-North Texas and Mariners-Tigers, as it should be.
Yeah, the Guinnesses were flowing on that day. It was a great night watching this game and, of course, that unbelievable baseball game too. But about this game, USF winning 63-36 over North Texas. Let's go over the highest grade player, starting off with number 24, USF. Highest grade player was wide receiver Jeremiah Coger, 79.3. Tight end Jonathan Eccles, 78.1. Rodney Hill, the linebacker, 77.4. Christian Neptune, 76.8. Wide receiver Corey Pettigrew, 76.6. Byron Brown, 74.1. You see right there, 4 of the top 5 for USF were pass catchers for the Bulls in this one, which kind of tells the story of this game. North Texas, their highest grade players in the loss. Quarterback Colin Lewis, 83.6. Wide receiver Cameron Dorner, 83.1. Quentin Hammonds, the safety, 81.2. Edge rusher Ethan Day, 79. Miles Coleman, the wide receiver, 78.3. And Drew Messmaker with a 73.1 grade. Dalton, what told the story in this game?
So USF, even when they were staggered in the first half and they got a big touchdown to tie the game right before halftime, they just keep on the gas. And in the second half, their offense was just unreal. I'm pulling up a stat. I want to make sure this week nobody else passed it, but I don't think they did. So USF in the second half of this game, as a team, had a 92.5 offense grade. Okay, in the first half, that was a 63.2. I'm checking to make sure nobody else has passed this week. I don't think they have. That is the second highest by any team in any half this season against an FBS defense. There's some FCS, Indiana and Indiana State and things like that where they get passed up there. But that is the second highest by any FBS team against another FBS team in any half this season. The only one higher was, it still is the second, 92.5. The only one higher was Boise State's second half against Air Force back in week 4. They scored 4 touchdowns in 4 drives. 0.695 EPA per play, 9.1 yards per play, 10 explosive plays, 6 runs and 4 passes, and what's the big number that I know you're going to talk about the other side of this? No turnovers. I'll be honest with you right now, and I'm going to throw most impressive. I want the true freshman receiver, Jeremiah Coger, mentioned here, because the last 2 weeks, all of a sudden, he started to get targets. He got 3 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. He's 6'3", he's 210, and he looks like an Alex Golesh-type receiver. The only thing stopping this USF offense is themselves and Byron Brown's ball security. Because right now, the last couple years, they've had Sean Atkins. He was a solid route runner, slot receiver, chain mover. But this Alex Golesh offense is the same as Josh Heupel's at Tennessee. It's meant to have vertical threats down the field, run the ball, play with hyper tempo, throw it downfield. They've got 3 guys. They've never had this since Alex Golesh has been at USF. They got 3 guys right now who can get vertical. Chaz Nimrod, Keyshawn Singleton, and now Jeremiah Coger, the freshman, who looks like a friggin' tank. 6'3", 210 is a true freshman. I don't know where. And he had a million offers, especially from like ACC schools. He had a ton of Power 4 offers. And he goes to USF because of this offense. If they have 3 legitimate vertical threats on the outside, I'm telling you right now, the only thing stopping this USF offense is themselves and Byron Brown. Just if he plays clean football, that's all this comes down to. If Byron Brown just plays clean football, they're going to score a zillion points every week, just like this, because the tempo and the number of different threats is unbelievable from this team right now. This is a different receiving core. That's the biggest difference that's in this offense for me from the last 2 years. This is a way different receiving core than they've had the last couple of years.
Yeah, USF, for me, the stat is they scored 21 points in 2 minutes and 16 seconds.
That'll do it.
In the third quarter. All right, this game was so incredibly sloppy in the first half. Both teams had 3 turnovers in the first half. And we went to halftime tied at 21. So we had all to play for in the second half. And Dalton and I both thought it was going to be an incredible second half. We thought there was a chance it might go as long as the baseball game did, honestly. But all of a sudden, USF came out in the second half and scored 3 touchdowns in an instant in this game. A 75-yard touchdown drive in about 1 minute to open the third quarter. Then they picked off Drew Messmaker and returned to the 15-yard line. USF scored within 2 plays after that. Then a 34-yard fumble return for a touchdown a few plays after that, too. So you went from a tied ball game at 21-21 going into halftime. All of a sudden, it was 42-21 USF with about 11 minutes left to go in the third quarter. So within 4 minutes, it goes from a tie game to a 21-point lead for USF, and ultimately an insurmountable 21-point lead, despite North Texas' best efforts at the end of the game, too. But just an incredible job by USF, just in an instant, going from a tie game to a 3-touchdown lead, and USF cleaned it up in the second half with the turnovers. North Texas did not clean it up with the turnovers in the second half, and really that's what changed the game for me.
Absolutely. You cannot, with explosive as this USF offense is, ground and air, you can't make mistake. You can't have 5 turnovers in a game. You can't have 3. You might not even be able to have 2. I mean, this USF team right now, The two X factors are just look. They got to play Memphis and Navy on the road, both. Okay, so their defense is solid, and they don't need the best defense in the country because of the way they score points. But as long as they don't have just a blow up game where they give up 45-50 on defense, and I really believe that the X factor in USF winning this conference and making the playoff or not. Now they have the receivers. They got to stay. I've seen like 8 running backs this year, and they're all the same. They're all good. Their defense, especially, I love those 2 linebackers. Mac Harris and Jalen Schuler are so good, and if they're not great in the secondary, they're at least forcing turnovers also, right? It's going to be Byron Brown in the ball security. Can he come out against Memphis and Navy and not turn and play just clean football? Yeah. I think Alex Golesh is telling his team, because they've turned the ball over now, I think 7 times in the last 2 weeks. If Alex Golesh ever gets this team to play clean football for 60 minutes, they're not going to lose in the regular season. They're going to win this conference. They're going to go to the playoff. I think Byron Brown in the ball security is the biggest X factor, maybe in the entire American conference, because they can be the best team.
Yeah, I want to shout out the USF run defense real quick. So I mentioned in the preview how Caleb Hawkins and North Texas ground game can give USF a lot of issues. Well, they proved me wrong, because USF did a really good job at run defense. 70.1 run defense grade, negative .037 EPA per run, only 117 yards allowed on the ground, with negative .3 yards before contact allowed per attempt too. So they were hitting ball carriers early. The North Texas offensive line could not get any push in the run game. Jalen Schuler and Devin Lee each had 79.4 run defense grades. They made the Mean Green way too reliant on Drew Messmaker, who is a talented quarterback. He's a redshirt freshman. But they were needed to win this game with Messmaker playing complementary football with Caleb Hawkins and the ground game. And I thought Hawkins actually had a solid game all around, but the North Texas offensive line just got dominated by USF in this one. And that's why USF's run D was outstanding. And what I thought was a mismatch for USF in this one, and they're going to lose, they actually won that matchup against North Texas.
Think about this. 27 carries for 117 yards. 64 of them came on 3 carries. That means the other 24 carries, they had 53 yards. No, yep. This defense it's a solid unit. It is. I think there's times where they got to get a little better with the tackling, but otherwise, this is a solid unit. Actually, the only other thing I worry about with this USF team, there's not much pass rush. Todd Orlando's trying to find a way to manufacture the pass rush. The run defense is good. The secondary is better than it's ever been since Golesh has been there. That's the one other thing I worry about in a matchup, especially with Memphis, is if they don't get to Brendan Lewis at all, and we're just going to see a 55-50 or some nonsense kind of game when they go to Memphis in a couple of weeks. But that's the one other thing on this team is they don't have a pass rush much to speak of yet, and Todd Orlando's trying to figure that part out. But no, just a great game, and they took haymakers in the first half of this game and came back and won it. It was a big-time win on the road.
Yeah, big-time win for USF, proving right now they're the favorite, I would say, to win the American Conference with a huge win over one of the other really good teams in the conference in North Texas. Before we move on to the standouts of the week and my top 25 going into Week 8 as well, we're going to talk about the sponsor of the show, that is Fabric by GerberLife. Parenting is filled with high-pressure decisions, and it can be difficult to tell if we've made the right choice for our kids' future. But here's a simple decision you can make today that could have a meaningful impact on your kids' future. And that's opening a UGMA investment account with Fabric to start their investment journey and give them a financial head start. Fabric by GerberLife was designed by parents for parents to make it easy to plan for and manage your family's financial path. With a kids investment account from Fabric, you can start investing in your child's future today. Kids can't invest when they're minors, but a UGMA kids investment account allows you to invest on their behalf now and gives those investments more time to grow. There are no contribution limits, multiple tax advantages, and they're SIPC insured up to $500,000. Plus, no commission fees and just a low, flat monthly maintenance fee. Fabric has partnered with GerberLife, trusted by millions of families like yours for over 50 years. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to protect their family. Start investing in your child today at meetfabric.com/PFFcollege. That's meetfabric.com/PFFcollege, meetfabric.com/PFFcollege. This is a paid promotion for the Fabric UGMA product and not for investment advisory services. Portfolios are managed by Fort Washington Investment Advisors Incorporated. Custodial services provided by Apex Corporation. All investing is subject to risk. Terms may apply. Learn more at meetfabric.com. All right. Standouts of the week, Dalton, who stood out outside of these, 11 games that we reviewed today? Who stood out in the other games?
What a stacked weekend it was, because honestly, we're only reviewing 11 games so the guys can go home and watch NFL. We probably could have reviewed like 16 or 17 this week, so we're gonna get a little bit of that here. We won't take too long. Let's go back to Friday night again. Washington, Rutgers. What a night for Damon Williams Jr., the Washington Huskies quarterback, man. 401 passing yards, a 92.1 passing grade, 15 carries, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 explosive runs, 7 missed tackles forced. Damon Williams is an animal. There's no other way to put it. And they got off to a really slow start against this Rutgers defense in this game. When he decided to take this game over, man, oh man, it was a wrap. He was the best player on the field. And I'll tell you what, I'll go back to this when they played Ohio State. He did not play that bad against Ohio State. He was not the reason they lost that game. Damon Williams, the Washington Huskies, their next 2 games are against Michigan and Illinois. And I'm going to tell you something. They win both of those games. We're talking about the Washington Huskies possibly going to the playoff too, because they got a road at that point to 10-2 or maybe even 11-1. But you have a quarterback playing like this, and Jonah Coleman, not great in this game. I think he had less than 50 rushing yards. Got an insane touchdown to Denzel Boston down the left side. But Damon Williams, you want to talk about a dual threat? This guy's as good a dual threat quarterback as anybody in the country. He was fantastic on Friday night. I mean, you talk about excluding sacks, because we do it right around here. 533 total yards. That's silly. I don't care who the defense is or who you're playing. That's just silly stuff. Damon Williams proving he can carry the Huskies to a win even in adverse situations.
Yeah, I want to shout out Joey Aguilar really quickly in a game that Tennessee almost got upset by Arkansas. It was one of the call-outs for the chat upset parlay of the week, the No Sunday Show parlay that unfortunately did not hit, which is why we're doing the show right now. But they barely escaped with a win, 34-31 over Arkansas, and really the biggest reason why is Joey Aguilar was outstanding. 90 PFF grade, 87.1 passing grade, 221 passing yards, and a touchdown, 2 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play. Also ran for 50 yards and 3 first downs in that game. Tennessee's defense really struggled against Arkansas, and he stepped up to avoid a second straight loss for Tennessee to Arkansas after losing last year to the Razorbacks. They avoided that this year because Joey Aguilar was so outstanding for them. What's your next standout?
Next standout. Sorry, I was checking the Jets score. They're down 10-6, and somehow in the first half they only had 32 total yards. And
seems very Jets-like.
Yeah, and actually 31 were on their first 4 drives. They had 1 yard.
There you go.
That's
the New York Jets right there.
That's something. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Did I tell you, or did I not tell you on Tuesday, that Texas Tech had a chance to come out and run the football?
You did not tell me that.
I didn't tell you that.
No.
Against Kansas run defense that had been
I tuned you out during the preview, though, so
That's
maybe
true.
you did say that.
Well, Kansas run defense has been incredibly inconsistent this year. And it was just that again against Texas Tech. And look, Texas Tech, they had some adversity. They got out ahead 21-0. Jalen Daniels got hot, started coming back. But, Baron Morton got hurt. He left this game. We saw Will Hammond again. Wasn't throwing the ball great either. Neither quarterback threw the ball great. But I'll tell you what, when you got Cameron Dickey in the backfield running for 21 carries and 263 yards and an 84 rushing grade and 6 explosive runs and 5 missed tackles. I didn't know if it was Cam Dickey or Cam Scatterbo when I was watching, because every single time I looked out of our 6 games we were watching at the Texas Tech game, I saw one of 2 guys, Cameron Dickey or Jacob Rodriguez. Now, you got a couple others here as well, because well-deserved also. But Cameron Dickey, I mentioned it on Tuesday, and I believe we got to find the exact year, but it's the most rushing yards in a game that Texas Tech has had in a long time. But I told you about this. Cameron Dickey, Jacoby Williams, and it's crazy because they lost Quentin Joyner. He was supposed to be the star of it before the season. He hasn't played a snap this year. He's not going to play this year with an injury. But what a night. 263 yards on the ground for Dickey, and the Texas Tech run game carrying through early in the game. Jalen got hot. This was a 4-point game right in the middle of it. And then the second half, they just kept riding it on the ground, and Kansas run defense did not stand a chance. Another big win for Texas Tech. And you know what? Despite some adversity in the second quarter of this game, still clearly look like the best team in the Big 12.
Oh, very clearly. Yes, shout out to you because you did shout that out. I do remember the Cameron Dickey shout out, and that run game was outstanding. And also, this is not very surprising, the Texas Tech edge duo of David Bailey and Romello Height is elite. Both those guys could be first-round picks in this year's draft, and both of them were incredible against Kansas yesterday. Romello Height, 95.1 PFF grade in the win over Kansas, 91.5 pass rush grade, 8 pressures, and a sack for a 24% pressure rate. He also had a coverage stop in there, too, for Romello Height. David Bailey, 94.8 PFF grade, 3 sacks for David Bailey, 10 pressures, 2 quarterback hits, a 42% pass rush win rate for David Bailey. He now leads the nation in pressures and sacks this year. So we mentioned before time and time again how Ruben Bain Jr. has been the best player in college football this year, and he still is. He's the highest graded edge rusher in the nation. But second, David Bailey. Number 3, Romello Height. Texas Tech right now has 2 of the 3 highest graded edge rushers in the country. Both those guys could be first-round picks in the NFL draft this year, too. And unfortunately, with Skyler Gill-Howard going down with like a serious injury at D-tackle, they're going to need those two to carry this defensive line all year, too.
Yeah, and Lee Hunter was really good on the inside as well. He's been great all year, too. The craziest thing, you want to first of all, the fact that we have Bain and Mesidor playing the way they are at Miami, and yet if you said, hey, who's the best edge duo in college football? And there's an argument.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Here's what this Texas Tech team does to people with Bailey. Remember before in the Gator game, you mentioned Austin Barber, 0 pass blocking grade, tough, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen this one. Both of Texas Tech's starting tackles.
Oh, Kansas starting tackles.
Sorry, Kansas, yes. Both of Kansas offensive tackles starting,
yeah,
both had a 0 pass blocking grade. Both of them.
That's expected, though.
These two guys can just take games over.
Yeah.
It's unreal. I don't know the answer for them because again, you have 2 guys like that plus Lee Hunter on the inside. You never have to blitz. You don't have to blitz.
Yeah.
You just sit back and just wait, and eventually it'll just happen because they're like inevitable. It's just like Bain and Mesidor. It's the same way in the Big 12 with Texas Tech right now.
So I think there was one more team, Dalton, that we did not do in a review, but one more top 25 team lost in Florida State, and because of your next guy right here.
Did I not mention this also? I went with UCLA as my official pick, but I know you don't listen. So, people, I did mention this as well. I was between UCLA and Pitt on the upset.
Well, one of our commenters did have Pitt, so it was part of the parlay.
Well, the chat knows ball.
There you go.
That's the biggest thing about it. The chat knows ball. Desmond Reed, what a day, especially catching the football. 200 total yards of offense. How about 7 catches for 146 and 2 touchdowns, a 96.7 receiving grade, along with the 54 yards and 4 missed tackles he added on the ground.
He's Brashard Smith all over again.
Yeah. Oh, no, Desmond Reed, he's got it. Yeah, underside. It's going to be the same thing like Darren Sproles, Deuce Vaughn, and all these other guys. You got the Brashard Smith, too, former receiver. You got to draft this guy. Plus, he didn't do it in this game, but he can return punts and do all that. Desmond Reed, you want to define all-purpose back. That's it right there. And between, Pitt's defense stepped up when they needed to. Desmond Reed was – how good – dude, there was moments where it was shaky because he's a true freshman on the road. How good was Mason Heinschel, too?
Oh, the one throw he had to the back of the end zone was unbelievable.
Rolling to his left, feet off the ground.
Sidearm, yeah.
Because, it's kind of a similar throw that we saw Tyler Shuck make against, I think, Notre Dame last year. Heinschel, Reed, they found a quarterback. They found the confidence in this offense. And, Pitt right now, they found it on offense. And it might be with 2 losses, although they only have 1 conference loss, I think. So you never know. You get back in that mix. And then, boy, on the other side, how much different do we look at Florida State right now?
Yeah.
3 straight losses in conference. They went from the high of that Alabama win to pretty much just about done all of a sudden, which is crazy. But Pitt going down to Tallahassee and getting a big win behind Desmond Reed, 200 total yards, and again, that was 96.7 receiving grade. That's ridiculous stuff from him.
I'm going to go with my last one here. Another game that we preview but did not review because, of course, we're just strapped for time here. But Adon Schuler, the safety from Notre Dame, 88.8 coverage grade for Notre Dame. Their 36-7 win over NC State. 2 catches allowed on 4 targets for only 13 yards. Also had a pick and 2 coverage stops, too. 17.7 passer rating allowed for Schuler in this one over NC State. Their secondary has really started to come alive over the last few weeks, and they're going to need it this upcoming week against USC, against that passing game with Mayava, Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane, all the weapons they have there, too. They're going to need Schuler, Leonard Moore, all the guys in Notre Dame's secondary to step up if Notre Dame wants to continue their hopes for a college football playoff spot.
No, Notre Dame played another fantastic football game, especially on defense. It was one deep ball they gave up to Terrell Anderson. The offense took some time to get the engine running, but they got it going in the second half. Eli Raridon with a 100-yard day. Will Pauling with a 100-yard day. The defense has been outstanding the last 3 weeks. Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price combining for over 150 again. I mean, what a ball game. That's all I can say with that. What a ball game we're going to get next week between those two teams. That's going to be unreal, and I think just the number of different ways that could go and the implications really, if USC wins that game, prime playoff contender in the Big Ten, and Notre Dame's going to end up being out. Notre Dame wins that game, and we're talking about, okay, now they've got the run to the end here, and USC, even though it's out of conference, it does hurt the at-large bid there for USC. There's a couple that are probably equal. I don't know if there's a bigger game than that one next week.
Yeah. All right, wraps up our standouts of the week. Let's go quickly recap the upset picks. Dalton, you hit yours. UCLA plus 260, nicely done over Michigan State. Maryland blew it against Nebraska. That was brutal for me, plus 210. And then Eli, not as close, unfortunately. Ball State did not play as
Eli,
well.
Man, I mean, there's losing an upset bid, but 42-0.
One of our Irish listeners, Mark Strange, wanted me to give Eli hell because he bet on Ball State because of Eli.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. He went with the vibes pick, and Ball State, I get it. They beat Ohio last week, but I mean, it was tough. It was tough seeing that, and just, man, this sometimes where the parlay goes down like to the wire. There was no wire to go down. I mean, God, the only thing Eli upset this week was me. What are we doing? I mean, I don't know if he's getting
one upset Eli, and look how cocky.
I don't know if he's getting on the mic or he's locked into Jets Broncos. But
he hits
man,
one upset, and look how cocky he gets, Eli. See what you did here?
Nah, man. See, hey, UCLA's a wagon. They're a wagon.
Well,
38-7.
Yeah, that was big.
I mean, Tim Skipper, Jerry Neuheisel.
Yeah, helps Penn State's playoff case.
Hell, it might
hopefully Northwestern keeps winning.
Helps UNLV's playoff case all of a sudden. You got some teams, anybody that's beaten UCLA before. Oh man, you might not beat them again.
Yeah,
man, UCLA going to be the team to mess around and beat Ohio State? Is that what we're doing?
Maybe.
Nico in a rematch?
Wow, that would be crazy. Wow. That would be crazy.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah.
Anything Eli or no?
He doesn't got anything.
All right, he goes no.
Nothing.
He doesn't want to talk about it.
We put these earpieces in for nothing today. He didn't want to hear about it.
All right, we'll give him help, Mark. That's what I promised you I would. So
it's all right. He's got Joe Flacco. He'll be all right.
Unfortunately, the No Sunday Show parlay that would have won us $250,000 for a $2 bet also did not hit yesterday. 2 for 9, I believe, was the final. We got UCLA, which is yours. Good job. And Pitt, one of the other shout-outs in the chat, too. Maryland did not hit. Ball State didn't hit. Arkansas barely missed out. Rutgers, East Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona State. Never a good sign when the No Sunday Show parlay is dead on Thursday. That's never a great sign.
Yeah, not great.
I want all the chat. I want you guys to just take a breath, look at the board, envision the board. Come ready on Tuesday. We're gonna hit next week.
We got more prep time. We did it off the cuff last time.
Yeah, we did a little off the cuff.
You guys come
look at the board. I want you to envision it, though.
You guys come with us with $1 million parlay. You do the research. We do plenty of research around here. I got NFL to do tomorrow. You guys do the research on this one.
We're gonna win.
We're giving you a job.
Hundreds of thousands very, very soon. But yeah, 2 for 9 this past week wasn't great. But we'll get this week. I'm trusting in the chat. All right, let's get to the top 25 going into week 8 of college football. At number 1 for me is Ohio State still. Number 2, Miami, barely, though. Indiana's got a great case, and really they could have been number 2 for me, too. Indiana's number 3, A&M 4, Bama 5. At number 6 for me is Texas Tech. Number 7, I've got Ole Miss. 8, Georgia. 9, Oregon, falling down after losing to Indiana. 10, LSU, BYU, all the way up to number 11 now with their undefeated season still intact. Georgia Tech, 12, Tennessee, 13. USF moving up a bunch as well at 14. Oklahoma at 15. Vanderbilt, 16. Notre Dame, 17. Memphis, 18. Virginia, 19. Texas back in the top 25 now after beating Oklahoma at number 20. Illinois moving down to 21. Washington, number 22. Tulane, 23. Cincinnati, 24. And Missouri at number 25. Anything stand out to you, Dalton?
Interesting to have Alabama ahead of the 2 undefeated teams in Texas Tech and Ole Miss. I think that's interesting there. And then I keep going back to it. This American Conference, you got 3 of them in there. You got USF and Memphis and Tulane.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, Navy with a wild comeback win over Temple at Temple yesterday. I don't think Navy's too far off of that top 25 either. I know they've had a softer schedule, but they've been taking care of business. They're 6-0. That's something I just keep looking forward to every week. Is this American Conference? What a race it's going to be, and those are some darn good football teams at the top.
Yeah, Bama, just the fact that they beat 3 straight top 20 teams too, which I think is a little bit better than what Texas Tech or Ole Miss has done so far this year. So that is barely over them, but yes, I had that. Would you have Ohio State, Miami, and Indiana 1, 2, 3 in that order, or would you change it?
No, Ohio State and Miami 1-2 for sure. I'm in on that. And then the debate more so to me is Indiana or A&M.
Interesting.
3-4.
It was more Miami versus Indiana for me.
Oh, really? See, yeah. I see. Indiana's got
because there is an argument for 1 for Indiana.
I mean, Indiana's got they've got the 2 big wins, and they're Illinois. I mean, obviously they killed Illinois, and then they go on the road at Oregon. I figured Miami was a pretty solid 2.
Interesting. Yeah, it was. They beat USF, they beat Notre Dame, obviously, and then Florida and Florida State. But Florida State obviously keeps losing, so it doesn't look great. But yeah, it's tough. It was really close for those 2, though.
But Miami's been just so dominant. Keep in mind they beat USF 49-12.
Yeah.
And despite the final score of that Florida State game, they dominated that game. They have just, other than the Notre Dame game, which is still a huge win, they've just been completely one of the most dominant teams in the country too.
Yeah. So I think USF. Some people saying USF's too high. I think USF, what they've done this year, they should be around that range. They're 5-1 now with only 1 loss to Miami.
Boise.
They beat Boise.
Florida.
They beat Florida.
In the swamp. A Miami loss is what it is. Yeah. Whatever. And then
North Texas.
And at North Texas, and that was an undefeated team. North Texas is a good team. Honestly, North Texas still has the road to go. Maybe they might get to 10 wins still. Yeah. When you look at their schedule, that's going to look like a really good win on the road, and they scored 63 friggin' points. What more could you want from a team in USF? All those. That's going to be so much fun to watch. That I'm telling you, we're going to talk about this American Conference even more in the coming weeks. But it's USF, Memphis, Tulane, Navy. See who else gets in there. It's going to be fun.
All right, want to quickly preview the preview that we're going to have on Tuesday?
So we have 10 games locked in for sure, and there might get a couple more added in because it's another loaded slate. But let's start in the SEC. Ole Miss and Georgia. College game day is going to Athens. Max for Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss gets to take the show on the road against Gunnar Stockton and the Bulldogs. Alabama is playing Tennessee. That's always fun. Ty Simpson and Joey Aguilar. Of course, the stars we thought we were getting in college football. How about LSU? Big win at home against South Carolina. Got to go up to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. Vandy probably hot coming off a loss against Bama. Not fun. USC, Notre Dame, we've mentioned already. That's a huge game with massive playoff implications. Back to Miami this week. They were off this week. Your number 2 team. Go home. They're playing Louisville. Is that game on a Friday? I think it's on Friday night, Miami, Louisville. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I want to say, we get Friday night lights down in South Florida, Miami, Louisville. The Holy War, Utah and BYU. How could you not love it? One of the best rivalries in college football, and both teams are really darn good. Texas Tech and Arizona State. Huge game. Is Sam Leavitt going to be healthy? That is going to be a big thing because you could see for Arizona State, they weren't getting it done with Jeff Sims at Utah. Washington and Michigan. I think Washington might be a dark horse playoff contender all of a sudden, especially if they can win this game. And we get another group of 5 game this week. The traditional Mountain West game of the year now with UNLV and Boise State. Boise State trying to cling to any hopes they have left. UNLV trying to stay undefeated after a wild win over Air Force. And you know what? If they go 12-0, 13-0, they've got a playoff shot too. So this might be their toughest test left. That's always a fun game to watch. So at least 10, probably more. We're figuring that part out. It's early on a Sunday morning.
Did you mention Georgia Tech Duke?
Oh, I forgot the biggest game in the ACC. One of the biggest game in the ACC this week. You're at Haynes King against Darian Mensah. What a matchup that is. Georgia Tech and Duke. When you look at the standings in the ACC, this might decide second place at the end of the day.
I think I would have skipped. Did you skip LC Vandy too? Or
no, I got that. Okay. That I got in. Oh, right. I would never forget Diego Pavia. That's criminal to forget Pavia.
So we got 10. Let us know in the chat or the comments too whether or not you think there are other games we should consider, because we are considering adding more. But those are 10 that we're gonna do for sure on Tuesday. Again, come ready on Tuesday with your best underdog best of the week, because we are hitting the No Sunday Show parlay this upcoming week on Tuesday at 1 p.m. in our full Week 8 preview show. Again, use the PFF promo code PFFCFB25 to get 25% off PFF Plus right now. The best betting tools, fantasy football tools, and all the same data and analytics that all the NFL and college football teams use as well. But Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time is our next show, our preview show. And we also have another bonus show coming this week with our midseason awards / All-American team as well on Friday. But for Dalton Wasserman, for producer Quinn, Tyler, Eli back there, I'm Max Chadwick. We'll see you guys on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for our full Week 8 preview show.